This is the G Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and everything else. This is the G Podcast, and today we got a special guest. We got one and only Kinney Rucker in the building, and we getting right to it. Yes, indeed, y'all. One more time. This is the G Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and everything else. And today we got Kinney in the building.
How's it going?
Thank you so much for joining.
No, it's a pleasure to be here.
It's been a minute too, man. So I'm excited to have this conversation. Kinney, man, just for those who don't know, real talk, one of the best athletes to come out of Durham, at least in my generation. I gotta give Kinney his flowers in that respect. So we're gonna learn a little bit more about his journey, what he ended up doing with that athletic ability, and how he's using it now, or how he used it to put him in position of where he's doing now. So, actually, I want to get started. Like, I know we met in Durham, but
right.
I'm curious, like when you first came to Durham from New York, what were your initial impressions of Durham, having come down from New York City?
Small city, slow pace. All I really knew was my grandparents' neighborhood. Right? So it wasn't like I was making friends in East Durham, North Durham. I wasn't going down to Cornwall's projects. You know what I'm saying? So I really stayed in that bubble from North Oak Ridge Boulevard to much on the other side of right. So that was pretty much
you mind repeating that? It started breaking up as soon as you started saying which boulevard. It started cutting you out.
Oh, North Oak Ridge Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And Cisco Street.
Word.
That was my little bubble, because from that street, from Cisco to Oak Ridge, around North Oak Ridge, all my family had properties over there. So it's like my cousins, my uncles, my aunts. You know, my great aunt, you know, rest in peace. When she, back in like the 60s, 70s, she started buying land. And then when, you know, her siblings wanted to move to Durham, she was selling them, you know, land and property so they can build their houses. And so pretty much my family had monopolized that area. And I used to come back every summer to stay with my grandparents. Now, obviously, I had cousins I was close with that lived in East Durham. But it was like just that bubble. Mm-hmm. But I knew, you know, my granddad had me cutting grass, which we don't do in the city. It wasn't too much of that. You know, picking okra out the garden, you know, doing all these things that he grew up doing in the country. I was like, man, this is totally different. You know, going fishing. Was it Jordan Lake?
Yeah.
Going fishing down there, you know. So it was a very, very different, but I just knew it was home to me because I was so attached to my grandmother.
Word.
And so every summer when I had to go back to New York, it would like, you know, prying teeth to get me away from her, because I always wanted to be around her. But that was my initial presence at Durham, that it was a little bit country, it was slow, and it was totally different than what I grew up in, you know, having in New York.
So how old were you when you actually moved down to Durham and started living with your grandparents?
So that had been about the fourth or fifth grade, going to Southwest Elementary. So I rolled in there. I can see the teacher, but I can't remember her name. Maybe Miss Bowden, Southwest, I believe. But I just remember coming to the class, and the first person introducing themselves to me was Jennifer Wilson. Shout out to her.
Yeah,
you
shout
know,
out to
and
Jen.
we've been friends, you know, ever since. And kind of made friends on the playground. You know, playing ball, because that's in New York. That's all you did. Football was like an afterthought because it was like I said, there's no grass, so you really just hooped all the time. So I kind of made friends that way, and on the playground. But yeah, the fourth, fifth grade is when I had moved out here.
Word. Yeah, Southwest. I went to Forest View, and I remember meeting like the Southwest kids once we got to Rogers Her, and things started to collide there from that standpoint. Like so you actually didn't spend all of your elementary down here. You really only spent a couple years. You basically was on your way to middle school. Sound like when you got down to Durham.
Right. So, my grandmother was a W amputee, which a lot of people didn't know, and she was a diabetic.
Double amputee.
So my grandfather
just for those
for
listening,
her legs.
For her legs. Okay, yeah.
Her legs she had both her legs taken away. She was a diabetic, and they needed help. As far as someone to care for during the day, or at least in the late evening. Kind of starting life. So I was primarily there to kind of take care of my grandmother and go to school. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, during Rogers Her in sixth grade, she passed away, and I was already ingrained in the community at the time in Durham, and my mom, so they just kept me there, for the time being, and I just stayed, I continued to stay in Durham. But like I said, it was different. I had a different childhood because I had a lot of responsibilities on me. As a kid,
Like what were some of those responsibilities that you had to take on at an early age, living with your grandma?
Oh man. Well, once she taught me how to cook, so
Word.
I brag on my cooking and my grilling, but cooking. But at that time, if she couldn't use the bathroom, I had to go in, take the pan, dump it out, clean it out, wash her. All the things like as a nurse or what you call people in the nursing home would do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know the exact name for them, or nurse, just a nurse generally. Just doing that, making sure that she was okay. People who had parents who are diabetic and they lost their leg, just like a phantom pain. Like, there's no leg there, but there's pain there.
Oh, wow.
And I would have to come in and like kind of massage her nub and all these different things. I'm like as a kid, I'm thinking like, how are you in pain and you don't have that? She's like, my legs are hurting. And so I used to, just be there around 24/7 in case she was sick, help her with insulin, give her insulin. Just being there in case anything went wrong, I would be there just to, make sure that I can get to the ambulance, call the ambulance, call family, in case she lost consciousness, anything like that. Those are the kind of responsibilities I was tasked with, at 10, 11 years old.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot for anyone, let alone a young man, right? And like you said, you were close to your grandma as well. Just like I'm trying to just think back to that time, and like you said, man, I don't think I ever knew like what you're sharing, and just like how did that impact just your ability to keep going to school and doing what you was doing once she passed?
When she passed was tough. I'll tell you that right now.
What grade was this roughly?
She died the day of Columbine.
Oh, wow.
So 1998?
Yeah.
99, yeah, that's when she passed away. And so that was like April 18th, and my birthday is April 9th. So 9 days after my birthday, I lose my grandmother. And it was just a hard time because that was my best friend. That's someone that, I confided in at a young age, ask questions. At that age, we were going through puberty. Mm-hmm. What's confidence to her about your grandma? What's going on? Like, if she'd sit down and talk to me and tell me, she was open with me. She was just a true friend. And I think, as I got older in my relationships, it was hard to like let this wall down because when I let people in, it's like they go away by death or just like, I can't deal with this person, or they try to screw you over.
Mm-hmm.
So just like I caught up, and until I met my wife, I wasn't able to kind of let that guard down and trust people the way I should have or could have. Once my grandmother passed away.
So you feel like that created a wall that stayed with you even like through college and into young adulthood, like that, and it kind of stemmed from that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like, a lot of people know me, but they don't know me. And
Yo, let's can you try without? Are those Bluetooth headphones? It's like muting you out sometimes.
Okay, hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I think where I left off was
people know you, but they don't really know you.
Yeah, it's just, they know me as the athlete, know me as, Kenny went to Duke or Kenny the lawyer, but it's a lot of things about me that I just kept from people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether, the family situation, who I am as a man, my character. I try to let my character speak through, the person I am when you see me on the court, or just being nice to people. Just, that's just how you just should carry yourself, being gracious and showing people grace, when you meet people. But a lot of things I just kept personal and kept tight to me just because the fear of, I don't know what your ulterior motive is, if there is one.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get too close to you, will this friendship dissolve? Will you try to stab me in the back? Even when it came to dating, like, yeah, I like you, but I don't want to get too close and, you break my heart. And then, here we are. This is another situation where, I've lost someone close to me again. You know what I mean? And so, tell me my wife, I kind of just let that guard down completely. You know what I mean? And to my benefit, it's been pleasant, just for someone to see you, in a sense, naked with all your flaws, who you are, no matter what. This is who I am, and to still love you no matter what. That's been huge for me in my life in these last couple of years.
Word up. Nah, we'll definitely speak more about that. And I agree completely. Like I don't know. I've also found it difficult to just trust people, especially as I've gotten older. Like just because what life, like you said, people will disappoint you so often, and I'm the same way. Like I get so bothered by my expectations not being met that I have to really manage what I think about people and what I expect when stuff is going down, because it can really mess with me up here. So I relate to that. And if we go back to that middle school time, right, this is around the time we crossed paths. Like, shout out to the Mount Vernon church team. I know we played on that church league team together. We played on that Rogers Herd team together. But like, did your grandma know that you had a chance to do something athletically when around that time? Like, could she see anything or recognize anything in you at that point?
Yeah. So, it's funny, I had the conversation maybe, 2 or 3 days ago. The one thing I regret was my grandmother wasn't ever able to see me play in person.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I don't know if you remember this, we were playing, not First Cavalry, but is it First Cavalry? Not First Cavalry.
First Cavalry.
Not First Cavalry. It was a church that was right down the street, but we were losing at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back and we almost won the game. And I remember Coach being hot with me. And I was like, Coach Jones being mad at me. I was like, nah, you got to understand. Like, I got to take care of this and that. My grandmother wanted to come, but it wasn't so much of an embarrassment because people at our age would be looking at her and asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to have to go through that and explain, like, yeah, my grandma's in a wheelchair. Yeah, she's a double amputee and all these different things. Also, I was like, I didn't want you to struggle to get into the gym and all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also on me as a kid trying to protect myself, and people talking about me, in my family, because be honest with you. Some sideways out your mouth, but my grandmother would have been, it would have been a wrap. You know what I'm saying? That's how much I care for and love for her. It would have been a wrap. So I didn't want to go through that. But just, just as a kid, just thinking like, nah, grandma, you don't got to come. And I was more so like, I would have been embarrassed and shameful because people would have been asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to deal with that. And so that's one of the regrets I really do have, because during that time, that Mount Vernon season, she was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I regret never allowing her to come see me play. And I would walk. I walk from my house all the way to Rogers Her.
Yeah.
Because I remember, we had Baron. Baron was still was on the squad too, and Baron would come to me. He would drop me off and this and that, and I would drop Baron. I'm dropping off at my great grandma's house, was up the street, and I come to my house because I didn't want them to see my grandmother in that condition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And people ask questions, but yeah, that's one of those things that I regret. But my grandmother used to say, I was athletic. I can do this, I can do that, and she saw the passion I have for sports. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like, I love my grandfather. I get into that later, but it's a different love that he was trying to show me.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother doted on me and like poured into me, emotionally, and like told me how much she loved me. My grandfather was on the totally other opposite of the spectrum, where it was like, I'm gonna try to teach you how to be a man, and this is gonna be different. And I got 12 years old, like, dog, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember, shout out to, I remember Demetrius Green. So my grandfather, I think him and Demetrius' father worked at the same company. Now my grandfather had a mediocre or a meager janitorial job. I think Demetrius' father was higher up. But he used to compare me to Demetrius, like, Demetrius went to Shepherd and this and that. And I was like, what that do with me? like, I'm at Githens. I'm going to, I'm at Rogers Her, and I'm going to Githens soon. Blah, blah, blah. But like, you comparing to me, it's like he's doing better than you,
right?
And I felt some type of way about that. And what I realized was that my two uncles were really committed to sports, but it never materialized anything. And my grandfather was worried that I was going down the same path. I like, even though I love sports, I just don't got what it takes to to get to the next level. And I made it a mission. Like, nah, G, you don't understand. Like, my mom said, if I gotta go to college, it gotta be through a scholarship. Now, I don't care how smart I am as academically, I ain't walking out with a 4.5 GPA. I might give you 2.5, but my heart is on sports. That's what I love more than anything. At that time, man, I just committed myself to that. You know what I mean? And I want to prove him wrong and also make him proud of me at the same time. You know what I mean? And that's why I just kind of focus so much on being the best athlete I could, growing up. And I'd be at the park sometimes by myself, just shooting till the lights come out. Till the lights go off. You know what I mean?
So when you were in middle school, at that moment, did you already know you were gonna use sports to go to college? Like, did you know that before you went to high school?
Yeah, I did, because it was a point in time where, like I said, my brother was getting in trouble with the law. My mom was spending a lot on bail money, on lawyers. And she basically looked at me and said, Kenny, if you want to go to college, you got to get a scholarship. And I knew, all right, what I got to do to stay eligible to play basketball. All right, what I got to do to make sure I can be on the court or on the field. And I just poured my all into it. Like, I had that pressure on me, at 11, 12, like, all right, if I got to make it, I got to make it. And I want to, just make my family proud. Because at that time, I had been the first person to go to college, and get a bachelor's degree. I think my mom did some associate's work, but, I would have been the first one. And I knew that I wanted to go to college and play sports. I knew, one of my end goals was try to get to a professional league. You know what I mean? And that was before I even got to high school.
And at this time, we're thinking basketball. Football is not even really at the forefront.
It's not, because Rogers Her didn't have a football team. If they did, I don't remember playing.
Yeah, they barely had the basketball
We had
team
the
like that.
basketball team.
Yeah, that was like an
And
after school program or something like that too.
And we used to play the little other after school programs or whatnot.
Yeah,
You know, me, you, Dante was on that squad.
yeah.
I can't remember who else.
I think Josh was on that team too.
Josh.
Yeah.
But then I knew going to Githens, I was like, all right, like, who else gonna be better than me? You know, coming in here. But I never met Brandon Alford. I never met him before. So,
Yeah.
all right, this another big man. Do I got to compete with him?
Letterlow was with us at
he was at
Rogers
Hurt. But
yeah.
he never played. He never played. No, he played on our 7th grade team. He didn't play on the 8th team, I don't believe.
Did you do like, so I know we did it, I know we was on the same church league, but were you doing any AAU stuff in the area at the time in middle school?
No, I didn't start doing AAU until I got into high school.
Word. I feel like once we left from 6th grade to 7th, 8th grade, I could tell the difference of the who was actually in AAU, and I could start to see some of the skill gap take place. Like, okay, nah, these over here is playing a little bit different, like a little bit more refined. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they understood how to play organized ball. And now if you fast forward to today, it's like everything's through the AAU circuit. But I think this is like right around that time period where it started to shift.
Yeah, AAU, you know, during our time growing up was more about team. It was more about, you know, putting your kids out there so they can get recognized by the colleges. Now, I think AAU is just a business. Right? You're trying to grab the most kids so you can land and get the most endorsements, blah, blah, blah. Like, and I think the product for that has really decreased. Like, it's a shame that like I can't even watch college basketball like I used to.
Yeah, me neither. Me
like,
neither.
It's a horrible product.
I agree.
Product. You know, some of these kids are really good, but one, it's a lot of things they don't. They don't have the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, all the drills you see on the internet, they got all these moves. But bro, if they got a 2-3 zone, you can't do that against a zone.
Can't hit nothing in the mid range. Can't attack the middle. Nothing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even like you look at the Duke UNC rivalry, I know people talk, like it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Here 1 year and then out the next. It's not like we had, you know, Jay Will, you know, Boozer, Dunleavy, you know, the group that would stay forever for 3 years and then ball out. And it made the games fun because then you have Maryland with Juan Dixon, Lonnie Baxter.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see how big guys that would stay 3 or 4 years. You know, and then you just look at it, it's like this product is so diluted, man.
I agree, man.
NBA, you know, like the NBA trash too. Like I can't watch the NBA like that unless I'm putting a bet in. I'm like, all right, I just need 25 points. You know what I'm saying? When you don't get it, you know, he the biggest bum in the world. Like, yo, like, but I just can't, you know, AAU I think is ruined basketball. You know, for collegiates, for high school players. There's no fundamentals. Everybody try to do, you know, the travel move by James Harden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to shoot threes like Steph Curry. No, that's a generational talent.
Right.
You're not Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? Nor is somebody going to be the next LeBron James.
Right.
You know I mean, the closest to Michael we saw was Kobe. You know what I mean? So, but I digress off that. But from your original question, so in middle school, I wasn't really playing AAU. It was just strictly middle school ball.
Word. And so for you, we in the city, you starting to actually like play other folks from around the city, starting to go outside that bubble. Like at what point for you did you actually realize, no, I'm kind of nice when it come to this. Like I'm actually one of them.
So the park by my house.
You talking about with the goals down by the woods, you had to walk like
they had like
the 3 full courts.
Right.
with the tennis courts was up top and you had to go down underneath. Yeah.
I can't remember what park that is. Like I went to all the time. I used to go to Bad Boy, so I never saw the actual name of the park.
Yeah.
But I was hooping with grown men.
Off of Archdale, just for those listening.
Archdale,
right off of Archdale. Yeah.
So I used to hoop with grown men at 12, 13, and I was getting buckets. So I was like, all right.
And it went down at that park too at that time. Yeah. Like you had to be on your P's and Q's.
Right. So they were like, they used to pick me up like, all right, young fella, come on, like, we just need a body. But now I'm coming here to try to show what I can do.
Yeah.
And once I saw I can score, I can do this, I can do that. And I think one time, going into at the end of my 8th grade year, I started dunking. So I was like, then I rose up at the park like, I was like, oh, all right, I might be legit now. Because these are grown men trying to push around, I'm still holding my own, and I'm not backing down. And I think that's when I realized, like, all right, somebody my age, they're not gonna faze me.
Like, let me just ask this: it's not in the right order, but like, you clearly love hoop, like unconditional love for hoop. Did you ever love football?
That's a good question. Not like I did football, not like I did basketball. I love football for the contact. I love football for the camaraderie, right? It's the ultimate team sport, right? Where everyone needs someone to do their job for you to be better, right? Or for you to do your job. I loved it for that aspect because I just love the teamwork and the camaraderie. I was on the phone with Cal Day a couple months ago.
Shout out to Cal.
And we still laugh about the funny stuff we did in the locker room. Like, yo, you remember this? And Coach Beard came out cussing us because we was acting like those things you just kind of, just remember from that time because it was so much fun. But as far as like a pure love, like just getting up and start hooping, like, because football, you need other people to do drills. Basketball, I can go into the court and just start shooting, right? I wake up, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym and shoot some hoop. Football, I'm like, yo, I got to call you. Yo, you want to come do some pass drills? You want to come do this? If you ain't feeling it, then there ain't too much people I can call on to do the work. I think football was more of a ends to means for me. And I did it kind of begrudgingly because, kind of fast forward to high school. After my first year of playing ball for Jordan, Coach Harrison and Coach Garner and Coach Ford kind of like created a circle around me. And it was like, yo. And I took Coach Harrison because I built a great rapport with him during the season. And he played at Wake Forest. He played running back at Wake Forest. And he said, Kenny, like, I know you love basketball. I know you're good. But if you really want to get to college, football is the way to go. And so I took his word, like, all right. And I looked at Coach Garner, and he promised me, like, yo, you'll be on varsity. I was like, ain't no way I'm going to be on varsity basketball and I am on JV football. You know what I mean? That just, that ain't make sense to me. and so I just went out there, and I gave what I could, in that first year.
But before we got to Jordan, you did play football at least 1 year at Githens, right?
I did.
How did they get you to do? How did they even get you on the team for that last year at Githens? Like, what made you say, all right, I'll do it?
I think Coach Sims was, he convinced me to come out there and play. And I think even Coach Fuller, shout out, he was my 7th grade basketball coach, cool dude. He's like, yo, Ruck, you should go out there for football just for 1 year, give it a try. Now, middle school, they put you like, they don't look at your skill level. It's like, all right,
size,
you 6'3", 225. All right, you on the line. I'm like, hold on, I don't need to be blocking. I need to be catching it.
Yeah,
because in my mind, I'm better than some of the skill players that we have. So why am I even out here? I ain't here to block.
Yeah.
So that's kind of put me off. But I played D-line, so that, that was a little bit of motivation, right? Because some of my idols, not idols, but some of the guys I watched you know, and kind of like really followed the game of football was on the defensive side.
Mm.
So that was kind of got us like, all right, I'll suck it up and play O line as long as I can play D line and make some plays. But I was like, yo, I could throw the ball better than. No, I mean, no offense to whoever's the quarterback. I ain't gonna say the name, but it's like I threw the ball better than you. Who the receiver?
Yeah, yeah,
I threw the ball better than you too.
yeah, yeah.
Who the tight end? Yo, I can do this better than that. Like, I'm just like, but here I am just blocking. And
Yeah.
I got that nasty. I think Justin Curry. I came close with the Curry family. Buddy Curry played at UNC, linebacker.
Mhm.
Funny story. We couldn't. I guess we weren't tackling right. So they taped our hands up, so we wouldn't be grabbing. So we wrap up.
Mhm.
Buddy Curry put on a helmet with no pads and was tackling players. I said, "Yo, this dude is crazy." And at that time we were losing, and then they put his son in, who was a seventh grader,
Mhm.
and we started winning. Justin was a natural thrower. He's a
Mhm.
great pitcher, but he's a better pitcher, but he was good at football, so he can throw the ball. And she sent me the picture, like, you remember this? And it had that nasty 64 on. I said, oh my gosh, you got me wearing 64. I said, yeah, I had to be an old lineman, and I was like, man, this is the worst. I hated
Word.
line. Like, I feel like I had a skill level to make plays and not to be, blocking for people.
Word. And so, okay, like, and on that note too, even from a hooping standpoint, they did that. I feel like at the time too, if you were a certain height, you were going to be a power forward or a center. Even if you
Right.
had a little bit of, boogie to whatever you could do,
Right.
if you could hit the shot, they still want you on that block, getting rebounds, playing like, that old school down low type of
Right.
way. But you actually could boogie a little bit, like do you think like the same applies from a basketball perspective? They kind of pigeonhole you into being this big guy, even though you kind of have more skill.
They do. It's like you want to. The thing is, I understand it because you want guys to be able, feel confident and be on the court also, and feel like what
Mm-hmm.
they can do with their skill level, right? If I feel like I can shoot threes, but at that time, Dante McDowell was our 3-point shooter. So I can't take his spot. He can't go, and Dante can't bang in the post.
Yes.
So, what I'm saying? I
That
understood
boy
that.
was thin, boy.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, Jordan Davis, he was the point guard. I
Mm-hmm.
could see the floor also, but he was better at that than me. So we needed him to have the ball. So I understood, my role. You know what I'm saying? But also, if I got that thing on the fast break, don't
Right.
look for me to give it up. Because
Right.
I'm looking to get down and get to the rack. You know what I mean? But I understand, like, in doing that time, the old school way of thinking, like, all right, you 6'1", 6'2", we need you down here. Like, no, man, I
Right.
can do more than that. I got a handle. I can bring the ball up.
But to the point about this, this is we talked about AAU, but the other side of that coin is AAU, they let folks boogie these days. Like you'll see a 6'8", 6'7" skill guard forward in high school, and he ain't nowhere near around the rim. He just all around the perimeter,
Right.
and then the coaches are letting them folks do their thing in today's world.
Right. I mean, because you see the LeBron James of the world, right? LeBron James was like the first player that we've seen at 6'8" take it and run the show. Besides Magic, I take it back. Magic, obviously, but I ain't watch Magic. You know what
No,
I'm
I
saying?
feel what you're saying.
So,
Maybe, yeah. Grant Hill wasn't as big as Bron for
right.
sure.
And Grant
Yeah,
Hill, think about it. At Duke, Grant Hill wasn't showing that
right.
over with him. He was
Yeah,
really jump shot, or drive, or catch an alley.
yeah,
When he got to the NBA, that's when he's seen with that crossover. And he
yeah,
got some
yeah,
moves. Man, Coach Keith been holding the back for 4 years.
yeah,
Like, this is what we've been looking for. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
I understand, like, you understand your role in the system, and you do it the best to your, to your best of your ability. But now, like, Kevin Durant, he probably would have been, a power forward because he's 6'7", 6'8". Now
Right,
he's 7-footer, and we ain't never seen nothing like this before.
Right.
The shoot the three, come off the dribble. So now coaches are more open minded. Like, all right, if you can do this and this, now you have a better chance to get into the NBA. Because now, think about it, the best big man don't even see the floor in the NBA.
Right.
Go small ball.
Right.
For a while, Draymond Green was playing center at
And
6'8".
even if you a dominant big, you still gotta have them skills like a Jokic
Right.
or Embiid. Like even if you are like that big, physically dominant, you still gotta be able to step outside,
Yeah.
hit the jumper, get it off the dribble. You still gotta have them skills.
Right. Jokic 7 foot, but he got a handle. He can dribble, he can pass, he can shoot. It's the
Yeah.
fundamentals of the game.
Yeah.
And European players are so further along than American players because they have those fundamentals and skills.
Right.
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 When you saw the Luka Doncic, you was like, nah, he ain't gonna make it in the league.
You make it look easy, boy.
Man, easy. Easy work.
You just understand the game too. It's like, nah,
Right.
I'm gonna get 1 step, 2 step, and you can't stop me. Like,
Right.
fade away.
Think about Embiid coming out of Kansas. When he left Kansas, he was like, nah, he just around the rim big.
Right.
Now he developed his game. Like, all right, nah, I can be on the perimeter. Now I can take off the dribble. I can do these different things. And I think he, before the injury, is probably the best player right now in the NBA. I think Jokic is kind of loafing right now because he don't like the notoriety. So I just feel like he kind of like just dogging it right now. And then when
I think he just in it for rings at this point. He's got 2 MVPs. Like he solidified. All he need is rings. Yeah.
So, but yeah. So going back to middle school, they did pigeonhole me like, all right, you this big, you're gonna play right tackle. All right, you this big, you're gonna play the power forward center. When I got, and I was like, man, I can do a little bit more than that because I was faster at my size than
Right.
smaller dudes.
Yeah. Mismatch.
I was fast. I was like, so if I'm moving this fast, isn't an advantage that these big guys can't stick with me? So let me just run. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it's they do pigeonhole you, and you just try to fit in the system the best way you can, and try to have your moments where your athleticism just shines out, and you score points. But
And so, why did you not play football? So you get your introduction to football 8th grade year, and then you drop it 9th grade year as a freshman. Like, why did you not stay with it going into that freshman year of high school?
So, my goal was just to play basketball. I wanted to play varsity my freshman year, right? So I was really just trying to work on those skills. And but I do remember Coach Briggs asked me, just come out, look at the team, see if you're interested in playing football. But he had me on the other field looking at the JV. And I looked at the team and I was like, nah, I can't do this. It looked so unorganized. It looked like guys would I was like, nah, I can't do this. And so I told him, I was like, nah, coach, I ain't gonna play this shit. I can't do it. But I also knew, well, I didn't know that. I knew when I got to college how much of a physical disadvantage I plagued myself by not lifting weights. I was just not strong. And I don't think that team, my freshman year.
What was Braska on the team that year?
He was.
We was freshmen, right?
Yeah,
he was like he was like the best player in the state, arguably, right? Like he was super nice, yeah,
and strong. And then, I remember going against Cal Day in middle school, and he put his hands on me. I was like, man, this dude is strong. So Cal is playing varsity, and he getting moved around. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that, for varsity football. But I know I didn't want to play JV football based the way how it was being conducted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't want to ingratiate myself in that when I know it ain't going to be what I want it to be. So I said, I'm just going to play basketball this year. And I tried out, I had a good rapport with Coach Leathers, or Durham Leathers. I think now he's the principal at Southern.
Yeah, he out at Southern. Shout out to Leathers.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Leathers. And I tried out for JV basketball. And then I knew then, during the tryouts, I was like, nah, these me. I was like, You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just a tier better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and it showed, like, my first game against Enloe. Now,
Yeah.
granted, I didn't know nothing about Enloe.
I was at this game too. I do remember this. I do remember this game. I was at this game at Enloe. I remember going my step pop.
And I just remember, I didn't end up losing, but I remember having like 25 and 10, 25 and 11. I know I had a double-double. And that was the kind of consistent basis, like, nobody can really stop me, on this JV level. Now, I remember playing East Chapel Hill, and they had two big bruiser dudes. That was the most trouble I had because I think they were sophomores.
Did they still have they didn't still have wait, they didn't have no that we was out of school by the time that dude that went to Clemson was there. No, that wasn't East Chapel Hill. No, okay, my bad.
Went to Clemson for basketball or football?
Basketball, but that was that was before our time. That was like before we got to high school.
So our freshman year, North Carolina basketball was stacked. So Leesville Road had old buddy went to Clemson. His name was like Shamar Robinson or something like that.
Uh-huh.
He went to Leesville. We got smoked by Leesville. Boston got smoked by Leesville. He ended up going to Clemson. And then they played another team when they had Big Eric Williams that went to Wake Forest.
Yeah.
First ball. And it was just like, dog, these dudes a little different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I see, then we play Hillside and I see Bobby. Then we play Southern and I see, Ant King and Dave Noel.
Oh, yeah.
These dudes a little different.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to see it as a freshman, not being able to like go on the court with them because I was like, man, I would have probably been like a little timid, just because of how big they were, pause, and the athletic ability. So
yeah,
I would have been like, all right, I don't know if I can kind of hang with them, but I think midway of my freshman year of basketball, Joey Harrell went up strong in the Southern game. And I think Dave Noel just and threw him to the ground. He broke his arm.
Yeah.
And I just remember Mike Brock looking at me and was like, "Yeah, you about to go to varsity." And I was like, "Nah, like they ain't gonna call me up." And they called. And sure enough, the next day, Coach Love was telling me I'm going out to play varsity basketball. Not knowing much, my first game varsity is against Riverside. It's a rivalry game. Like I said, coming from middle school, I don't read too much of the paper because my name wasn't in there. So I was like, it is who it is. And I ended up, as a freshman, having 19-8, my first game against Riverside. Now, how I got in the game, shout out to my man Larry Dan. She looked at me. He was like, yo, you want to play this game? I said, yeah, they put me in, little garbage minutes. Larry went in and got 2 quick fouls. The first quarter, he was like, look, you in there. And
did Larry and shout out to Larry. I haven't talked to Larry in a minute. Shout out to Larry. Did he do that on purpose?
He did it on purpose, dog. Because he hit me like, yo, you want to play today? I said, yeah, they put me in. Like, I don't know, like, it is what it is. And Larry go in and get 2 quick fouls. And Coach Anderson looked down at the bench and said, Rucker, you in. I'm like, Coach, like, all right, I'm nervous. But once I got in the game, the floor of the game, I was getting rebound after rebound, putting up points. I think we ended up losing by like 2 or 3, but that's the first time I've been dunked on in my life. So, not knowing who this dude was, I still don't know his name to this day. But I know I was the back line of defense for the press, and I tried to bait the inbounds player to throw it. I just missed it, and I'm trying to catch the dude, and I jump. He done put a reverse on me. I slid into the wall. I'm like, I'm like embarrassed. I'm like, man.
Was the game at Riverside or was it at Jordan? Yeah, we did hate Riverside back in that day too. It was a little rivalry between Jordan and Riverside. It was, yeah.
Shout out to Buddy Brown. They soaked the field his senior year. He ended up tearing his ACL. Like Riverside did some dirty stuff when we played them. So I had a very distinct dislike for Riverside my whole 4 years at Jordan. And also I feel like because I had good games on varsity, I feel like the seniors were starting to hate on me a little bit. I just remember telling Coach Harris, I'm like, all right, hey, like, if they want to act like this, cool. And I just stopped playing as hard as I normally do because I feel like if y'all not gonna appreciate it, I'm trying to win the game. Like I'm
Yeah.
not looking for individual stats. It just happens that they're coming to me, but I'm getting rewarded because I'm working hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, it is what it is. Man. So freshman year, I think we make the playoffs, but we end up getting smacked. And then, you know, and then going to my next year, that's when Coach Garner really convinced me to go play football.
Right.
And going to the summer until sophomore year, I remember getting on the field, and Quana moved up to varsity.
Mm-hmm.
And Quan was like, Rucker, you out here? You supposed to be on JV. I said, yo, like, ain't no way. Ain't no way I'm on JV. I just play varsity basketball. Conceptually, I can't fathom myself being on JV when I'm already on varsity. I'm a varsity player. I'm already lettered. Like, there's no way I'm playing JV. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was another motivation. Like, all right, so
Yeah.
if I belong here, let me show them the best player on this D line. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think that year, we had an up and down year. But I think I had like 10, 11 sacks that year.
First
And
year playing varsity
first,
football in high school
yeah,
as a
and
sophomore.
as a sophomore.
And
And
you wasn't even in the weight room yet. You saying you wasn't really like you didn't did you lift any weights before that
nah,
season
yo.
or
So funny story. So we used to go to the cafeteria.
right?
The work room would be open.
Right.
It used to be a bench press. There used to be a bench right there by the door.
Yep.
So me and T. Bro put 135 on there. We both couldn't get it up. We struggled like, oh, 135, we can't get this. I said, I'm real weak now. Like, I realize how weak I am now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I just had just natural strength.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it kind of played me in college when I first started off because I think when I left college, left going to college, I probably mentioned maybe like 240, 250.
Mm-hmm.
It was already benching like 340.
Threes. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I'm like, oh, I'm way behind.
Yeah.
So, that's another story. But yeah, and because I always thought if I lifted weights, it would mess up my jump shot.
Mm-hmm.
I just never lifted weights.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
so
you're talking about all your years of high school, you just kind of like did the minimum when it comes to weights, like
until like to my junior year,
junior
that's
year.
when I really
Word.
started lifting because then they had all those accolades on the wall. I was like, man, my name
Right.
on the 225 club, 250
Right.
club, like, so the one thing I always had, which kind of helped me, was my legs.
Mm.
Like my squat, I think when I left Duke, ain't no squatting like 225, 625. So going into college, I was probably squatting like maybe 450. You know what I'm saying? So I always had powerful legs and so forth. And that kind of helped me with my get off, my speed, you know what I mean? So, and my quickness. But as far as like me just running through you, that wasn't going to happen. I just
Yeah.
had to use my finesse skill. I was a finesse player and get to, try to get to the quarterback.
Word.
And usually they had like a slow player on the left side, which is supposed to be the strong side for the quarterback. And I'll just get around and end up getting a sack. But so after that sophomore year, and I think Coach Garner, he didn't coach me my junior year. He ended up leaving, but he took Cal Day and I up to Virginia. And he took us to the Nike camp. And that's when my name really got out there. Like, this dude is pretty decent. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? He took me to all the, Duke, football camp or Clemson camp or Wake Forest camp. He took me all those places to see where I measured against these other kids. You know what I mean? And that was a huge help. Because at
And
that
this is going into junior year, like in between
time,
sophomore and junior year, after your first year playing football. And now
Mhm.
it's like, let's see just how good.
Right.
Word.
And so in high school, I think we had to bench 185. And that hurt me because here I am throwing up 185 like 5 times, like everybody else throwing up 20 times. Like, all right, in my mind, I'm like, I ain't really paying much attention to it because I had the other skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at that time I was running like 240. I was running a 4.5 40. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? So I was really hauling at that size. So that kind of helped me a lot and kind of, was a plus for me when the weight strength was a minus for me.
Word.
Yeah.
And so after that first year and you have the success, didn't you go to the camps? Is it at that point where you start to think I might need to go, that football is going to be my ticket, not basketball? Or
Exactly.
are you still kind of, going back and forth?
I think it was more like football might be the way um, because I know that summer going into my junior year, we always went to team camp at UNC. The football team always went to team camp at UNC. My mom did something great for me that year. She paid for me to go to Michigan and go to Michigan football camp.
Mm.
And I went as a tight end. And I tell you, could nobody guard me out there, bro. I'm not
Mm.
even exaggerating. It was like, where you from? Who are you? And I got my name out there, like, all right, we got to keep an eye on you. So that let me know again, like, yeah, these dudes ain't really either.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so I just knew, all right, I got the skill where I have the speed, I have the size, and I don't think nobody can really guard me. And all I gotta do is catch the ball.
Yeah.
All I gotta do is, figure out how to beat this dude. I think I can do this on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? And honestly, you know, having a good quarterback helped, at
Yeah.
Jordan. Blaylock was a great quarterback who got me the ball.
So wait, you did play on the offensive side at Jordan?
I did. I did. So it was crazy. Um, it all stemmed from, I think it was my junior year. I think Pat Ray got hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't know who was going to do the kick return. So at halftime, I go to Coach Rogan. I'm like, "Yo, just put me back there." They like scoffed at me, like, "Yo, you get out of here!" Like, yo, I said, "Nah, like, give it a try. What's the worst can happen? If I up, you off the team. You off the kickoff return team, and that's the worst thing that happened."
Mm-hmm.
I had to catch that thing. I probably ran about 200 yards going left to right, left to right. And then, the field. I was against Person County. And
Yeah.
so from there, it was like, oh, this dude returned kicks. And then, shout out to, Coach Atkins, rest in peace, him and Brian. Coach Atkins was a huge advocate for me to play tight end and wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he'd come off from work, and he had this, he was coming because he had a distinct laugh and a certain voice. And he'd be like, Rocky, get your out there and get that wide receiver. And I'm like, all right. Not knowing, like, all right, this is going to be what it is, but that kind of got my name out there too. Like, all right, this dude not only playing defensive end and not also tight end, but now he split out. That was another, benefit for that, where the DBs use like 5'10", maybe
Yeah.
5'7", and just throw it out. So the first time I played wide receiver, we played Garner. And Garner High School at that time in football
Right.
was a powerhouse.
Right.
We went out there and smacked them 21. I think we beat them like 21-7. And I
Mm.
had 2 touchdowns on their best player. So I was like, oh yeah, this is. I think I don't arrive now. You know what I
So
mean?
let me okay. When you started, I got a couple questions. Did you receive any offers to hoop after high school?
I did not.
Okay, so you didn't
None.
get now. What do you think it's because they knew you were dedicated to football, so nobody bothered, or
I, man, I hate to like I guess I'm on my cat wing now. So I really think Coach Annis didn't do enough for players to get their name out there to show the talent that they had. Yeah, we went to
Mhm.
teams like NC State and all that, but like for example, Tierra Brewer, phenomenal
Yeah,
athlete. Larry
Tierra
Daniels.
was nice. Yeah,
But they
shot.
never,
Yeah,
he never did anything to get him out there. UNC came to see me play basketball based on what I did at football. You know what I'm saying? I had more exposure for my teammates to have a college coach look at them, even though they're coming to see me, than I think, Coach Anderson did. Now I can't say what
hmm
he did after I left, but I know when guys, graduated, they weren't going to no top school
hmm
or no big time school.
Well, outside of who Dominique, maybe that was probably the only one that made it to a.
And then they during my time, but Dominique also had to go to another school
True,
to
true,
get that exposure. I think
true.
Justin ended up going to UNC, but he was
Right.
after us. So I
hmm
don't know if Coach Ennis, started to get guys out there after that. But I know during my time, we had a lot of talent, and I don't think he did enough for guys to get them exposed to get them to the next level. And I can say that
Word.
because he didn't do that for me. I don't think he did that for Tierra. And I seen what it did for me for football. When Coach Garner got us in his car, spent his gas money. I don't know if this is an NCAA violation, but brought us, got us a hotel room, me and Calday, and put us out there to show the skills that we had as football players. Like that
Right.
meant it. So
Right.
one, that gave me confidence that, all right, you believe in me, but also let me know that, all right, this like top 300 guys in the country on the East Coast, and I'm doing my thing over here. So that gave
Right.
me more confidence going into my junior year that I had the skill set. So, and also my senior year, I didn't play basketball.
hmm
And by that time, I already had my scholarship to Duke.
hmm
And
hmm
so I remember going to Coach Ennis like, I'm on the fence. I don't know if I'm playing or not. Instead of talking to me like, all right, Will, let's discuss, he started yelling at me.
mm
I'm like, so you only care about my well being or what I want as a person. You some more so focus on what I can kind of do for you and help your program. And
Right.
that kind of solidified for me there that like, no, I'm not gonna play my senior year.
hmm
I missed
hmm
it. I was cheering for my guys, Trey, Dale, Dominique, all those guys. I was hoping that they won the championship.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know if I played, maybe we would have won. I don't know.
Yeah, that was that I remember that year. We had a pretty decent run. I remember going to like the last playoff game at Wake Forest, if I remember correct. I remember meeting Chris Paul, Eric Williams out there, and that was like had we won that game, we would have been like in the Final Four or Final Eight, if I remember.
I think that was the Final Four.
Word.
And I think if they would have won, they would have got to the championship game, but they ended up losing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have helped or not, but I knew I couldn't play for him anymore.
Mm.
Even
hmm
Coach
hmm
Harris, who I like to death, he was assistant coach. He called me. He's like, Kenny, let's have lunch. Let me take you to lunch. Let's talk. See if you want to still come out. But I was like, I got to stand on my ground on this one because
Right.
you don't care about me as a person. If I tore my ACL
Right.
or tore my Achilles, you're not going to be there to help me out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or
Right.
would have revoked my scholarship for being injured. Now
hmm
I'm bad goods, and we don't want that in our program. Are you gonna help me find somewhere to land?
Right.
Right?
No, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
I feel
So
you on that.
yeah, I didn't appreciate that the way he came at me, and he even came at Coach Briggs. I remember Coach Briggs like, you told Kenny don't play basketball this shit, blah blah. And Coach Briggs like, nah. That's another thing is I don't have a mind of my own.
Right.
I can't think for
Right.
myself. Now I'm just some
You just some athlete.
athlete that
Yeah.
can't think on his own. Come on, man.
Right.
I was like, I can't do that. And I love, like I said, man, I love playing basketball, and it killed me not to be out there on the court.
Yeah.
It killed me, but I had to make a stance and believe in something that was bigger than me, um, and I couldn't play for him that year.
So didn't get any offers to hoop. When did you get your first letter in the mail saying we want to offer you a scholarship to play football?
Well,
It-
so I got a lot of letters of interest from a lot of small D1 schools after my sophomore year.
okay.
And then
After your first year playing varsity football, you started to get letters of interest.
Yeah, Mel was coming to the football office every day. Coach Briggs handed me a letter. And then it wasn't until after the Nike camp, the big schools started coming. NC State, UVA, who else? UNC, Duke. Went up to Michigan. Michigan started sending me letters. Like after that, that's when they really start coming, and that's when I'm like, all right, so this is what is going to take me to where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Football is the route that God has placed me on to fulfill my destiny in His life, in the life that He's given me. And so I just ran with it. I just ran with it, and it really came down to Duke and UVA. Both were great schools, but it felt right.
So okay, so it boiled down to Duke and UVA, and I do remember going into senior year, like this was already, you were a Duke commit going into senior year, from what I remember. Like, oh, Kenny going to Duke, and so outside. So okay, before we go, so you narrowed down to Duke and UVA. Was there any other possibility that stood a realistic chance outside of those two?
I hate to say this. UNC was a close possibility because I like Coach Brown. Coach Brown used to coach at Northern. He was a great coach. I think he won a championship at Northern also. He was a tight end coach at UNC. And I had a good rapport with him. And I really liked him. But what it came down to was I've been wanting to go to Duke since I was legit. You know what I'm saying? So watching Grant Hill, that inspired me. And I remember in the 8th grade telling, I think Brad Savage that, I'm going to Duke one day to play. I'm like, I'm going to Duke. Now, granted, I thought it was going to be for basketball. Because I thought it was going to be 6'8", 6'9", whatever. That didn't materialize. So, but when Duke gave me the opportunity to go, it was opportunity in a lifetime for me. That's
I feel that.
About as a kid. And
I feel that.
To go there, to be in the town where I was raised in.
And it seems so like, growing up in Durham, like my mom always worked at Duke, but the idea of going to Duke always seemed like this far-fetched idea. Like it was it was always there, but it was never really for us to attend.
Right. And it's crazy because Duke has more people from out of state that go there than actually from, you know what I'm saying? And also, Duke itself doesn't fit with the culture of Durham itself, right? Duke is wealth and privilege. Durham is blue collar, grinding. I'm gonna get it anywhere I can. So that's why I think so much the people of Durham don't really gravitate to Duke. Why they gravitate to UNC? I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, because it's not like UNC is much different over there, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
But, they do. But, but Durham itself doesn't identify with Duke because of those things.
Yeah.
Duke is privileged. People come here, they parents, wealth managers, they, I had some people say, I've never been in class with a black person. This is my freshman year in college.
Right.
In my life, I'm like, man, where you come from?
Right. And they're not even from somewhere weird. They from like upstate Jersey or New York, something crazy. Yeah.
So I was like, damn, this is different.
Yeah.
And then, I remember the summer school, because I was in summer school pretty much every summer at Duke. Even going
because you had to, or because why?
One, because you were training 24/7, right? And so you want to be there for the training. Also, get credits to kind of move you along to graduate early. So a lot of what we did a lot of times where we took like one hard class in the fall, but core classes that we really need to take, we'll take in the spring and the summer because we didn't have too much of a distraction in season. That's the reason why we was in summer school. And also, you didn't get no money unless you went to school, right?
Yeah.
Little check, for the summer. You're like, yeah, I need that. You know what I'm saying?
And this is pre NIL. Like, what kind of checks would an athlete realistically receive in that time period?
Bro, I mean, just for like going to school, I think for the semester we end up getting like maybe 9,000-10,000. But I had to go through housing. That was housing and everything included. So once you finish, if you stayed on Central Campus, that's what apartments were in Durham.
Yeah,
for the summer, that's already 4,500.
Yeah,
for the semester. So now, so if you got 9,000, you're down to 45 to last you for the whole summer.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You got food, this and that, clothes you want to buy, all that, gas. It was a lot to kind of live off on $4,500. And then I don't know what they get now for their stipend, but we used to get like a measly little $10 for each game. You just kind of hold on to that.
$10 for a game is crazy.
$10, bro. You hold on to that. So you have 120 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
You try not to spend it, but you try to hold on as much you can, so you have at least $100 at the end of the season, bro.
That is crazy.
It's crazy, man, and it's just like, I don't regret it. I had a phenomenal experience at Duke.
Word. Hold up. So before we get into that, was there a chance, right? Because you ended up playing on the D line. Mm-hmm. Was there any chance that you could have, like, would the schools recruit you to play offense in any way, or did you know for sure coming out of high school you were definitely going to be on the D line?
Well, UVA and UNC asked me to play tight end.
Word.
Duke wanted me to play defense. Obviously, this is the thing about recruiting. They sell you a dream, and that dream does not precede the reality, right? And so I thought I was going to play defensive end. They want me to be inside like Warren Sapp. I'm like, bro, Warren Sapp probably bench 395. That ain't me. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the outside. Let me use my speed and quickness and be successful. So that was a class. That was a clash in there, and it was a lot of work. Like I said, I was weight room weak. You know what I'm saying? And when guys are already naturally strong with weight room, like I was way behind as a D1 athlete. And then I didn't have no shoes then because I wasn't playing basketball like that. So I really had to get into the weight room. I remember my first practice. Fred Rowland, 6'8", put his hands on me. Got me back like 5 yards. I said, "Oh, like, this is different." So I knew I gotta get in the weight room. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, to your question, UVA and UNC asked me to wanted me to play tight end, which I probably would have did well at that also. But Duke asked me to play defense, and I always love playing defense. I think it's more rewarding to stop somebody than to score on them, right?
Word.
Because football, I mean, obviously you watch film and you think you know what they're about to do, but it's all reactionary. Offense, you already had a plan, like this is what I'm going to do, and this is the plays we're going to run. I think it's more rewarding when you stop someone from scoring than scoring on them. That kind of led me to play football I do on the defensive line.
Word. So yeah, like that, so I remember, so I used to work at Duke every summer on the grounds crew, cutting grass, weed eating, trimming up the sidewalks,
right,
picking up cigarette butts with a with a hand grip thing in a bucket, just putting cigarette butts in a bucket in the hot sun in the summers, painting Wallace Wade in the practice fields, putting the lines on the field and with crazy heat. Man, I remember one summer, man, I actually just was standing there with a hose watering the sod in the middle of Wallace Wade for hours in between like just to sit here for hours watering grass. But I have a perception of Duke because my mom worked there. I spent some time there, say as a worker, so I kind of know what that's like to be viewed when you're doing a certain type of work on campus. And like how you talked about locally, Duke kind of stands for one thing that doesn't really connect or represent what Durham really is. And so you said you had a great time, but was there, you know, I think going to Jordan prepares you for a situation like Duke, if
Right,
I'm
right,
thinking back, right?
right.
But was there any adjustment, even though you didn't go anywhere, but you're going to Duke? What was that initial adjustment like? Seeing that you're right here in your backyard, but a completely new space.
Yeah, man. Just Duke had his own culture,
Yeah.
right? Um, from the parties, from the people, um, understanding how to talk their language. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and to fit in. I remember my first class. Um, you know, coming from Jordan, I feel like I might be prepared for Duke, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And going to class and having that moment of eureka, like this person said exactly the same thing I was going to say. I think I belong here, right? I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
off the wall from what I read. My comprehension's on point. Like this person not too far from where I'm thinking. So I felt like I belong in that aspect. But yeah, just because it's not too many of us on campus,
Right.
and especially my
And
freshman,
most of them is playing ball.
right, playing ball,
Yeah.
and and for those that weren't playing ball, like a lot of the frat guys and and all those, they were much older than me. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So just trying to understand how to fit in, you know, and with someone who's driving Maserati from New York to this person who's and back then Maserati, I was like, damn, dog,
Right.
you up,
Yeah.
you got it. And then somebody who's from Texas who's just trying to make it, financially, right? Just trying to figure out, the happy medium and, you know, just trying to, ingrain myself into the Duke culture. Like we, when Duke football showed up, even though we weren't winning on Phil at that time, people know we was gonna have a good time. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I kind of gravitated toward the older players at that time, than more so the guys in my class. And
Mm-hmm.
they kind of showed me the ropes of the classes to take, the people to hang out with. I mean, my first party, it was different. It was
Hold on,
different.
before you say anything, I gotta. So I remember I was a junior in Jordan, and at this point, I was like my circle were seniors. I don't know if you remember, like Dennis, um, Dante, Charles. We used to venture out into these college parties as
Mhm.
best we could. We would say we went to Central and we studied criminal justice. That was like our little
Right.
routine, right? And I remember going to Duke's campus. We somehow get into the dorms, and the way the party was set up was each floor had a different theme sort of going on.
Yep.
And in each room, like depending on what floor you were on, was a theme too. So like in one room they was doing vodka drinks, another room they
Right.
might have been doing these type of drinks. And this was the first time where I just went into the room and is doing coke. I'm just
Okay.
gonna keep it a stack. Like this is the first time where I'm walking in the room. I'm a
Right.
junior in high school. I'm thinking I'm from Durham. I didn't see everything, but now I'm seeing white boys with the coke on the table, and they're like, "You want to hit?" I'm like, "Oh, whoa, this
Right.
is different." Like it was different. So, like,
Yeah.
what was your first experience like partying out there?
Same thing. So it was a party. So this wasn't in the dorms. So East Campus is where all the freshmen stay.
Hmm.
And there's houses that are known to be associated with Duke University where, juniors and seniors stay. So right off East Campus, there was a party.
This is like
Oh,
Buchanan. Like you talking about
yeah, yeah,
Buchanan, like
yeah,
Buchanan and all that. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And that's the party. It got raided, and like a lot of freshmen ended up getting arrested and so forth. I was able to sneak out, just to make a time. But y'all walked in. This first time I ever seen, people doing keg stands. And
Oh
then you go
yeah.
back to the further back room, niggas popping pills, doing coke. I say, yo, this ain't something I'm used to.
Right.
I'm talking about they just sniffing,
It, it,
passing on. I say, yeah,
it,
this ain't
it ain't just blunts in the air no more.
right.
It's something completely.
Nah,
It's something completely
it's
different.
different. And I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, like, nah, this ain't for me. That's when I know. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah. Like, not knowing, now I know how, like, athletes are drug tested. It
Mm-hmm.
ain't random. I can tell you that much. It's not
Mm-hmm.
random. And I was like, nah, I can't be caught with no cocaine or anything in my system. I ain't want to touch it. And, but that was the kind of first time I went to a Duke party, and here we are. Coke's in the room. You know, it was like,
It was crazy, yo. Yo, it's crazy, yo.
I just know walking in, shorty doing coke, and next she getting down on the dude that was next to him. I'm like, oh, they just open. It's just like, all right. It's one of those things where you
Yeah.
see the movie.
Yeah.
It's like a less grotesque trap house where you doing,
Right.
and she need a fix, and here she come getting knocked down, and she getting. I'm like, all right, this ain't for me, man. Like, let me just walk out, turn around, grab me a little beer if that's from a drink,
Yeah.
and get up out of here. And luckily, I got out because the person I went with, I just met her that night, and I said, oh, like,
Mm.
what's going on? Boom, we went to house, like, yo, we gotta dip. And as soon as we left, here come the police raiding the party.
Yeah.
Because imagine if I got caught in that. Now here I
Yeah.
am one day on campus, and a Duke athlete already in trouble with with the law enforcement. I was like, nah, I can't have my name with that. But it was one of those things, man. Like, it really opened my eyes up to this is like the real world in a
Right.
sense, right? Where people you
Yeah.
don't get drugs. They ain't just little weed here. They ain't this is people doing hard stuff.
The drug, like drugs that it's like really it's like a class thing. Like it's drugs that like growing up there was no market for it. Like nobody was even had the bread to even entertain it. But
Right.
like over on Duke's campus, boy, yeah, you see the drugs that folks spend some money on.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, this is night and day from what I'm used to. Because full transparency, like my brothers, they sold drugs. So I seen crack being made. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I ain't never seen nobody in my house do it.
Right.
Whether they tested the product or not, I don't know. But that was my first time seeing somebody in person, sniff coke and be like, all right, now they just jumping up and down, bouncing off walls. I'm like, yeah, this
Yeah.
ain't me, man. This is a
Yeah.
total breed of humanity that I'm not used to. You know what I mean?
For
And
sure.
that was my introduction to a Duke party my freshman year. And
Mm.
I stuck with athletes from different sports, but I try not to really get involved with that because I didn't know at that time. I didn't know if I'd be called for a drug test, and just being caught with it or hanging with somebody, and police pull you over. Now you got somebody with that in your car, and there's a lot of that
Yeah,
you
that's how I
avoid
go. Yeah.
as much as possible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, that was kind of my introduction to Duke. The later years of playing football and just trying to be a student athlete.
Like, is the classwork really like that at Duke? It has a reputation for being, rigorous and crazy academically. Like, was it really like that when you was in school?
So leaving Jordan, I thought I was a pretty decent writer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting, I get B plus A. I'm pretty good at this. I get a Duke, they cover my up. B
Mm.
minus, C. Not enough effort. I'm like, I just read this whole thing and I just did this for a couple hours, and here I am. I'm not meeting the expectation. So granted, Duke had a lot of tutors for us,
So
right? To help us.
y'all didn't have any of those African American classes at Duke like they had at other institutions.
So that was another thing, man. They try to like pigeonhole you, like, all right, you gonna go. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, I have no interest in this.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to do something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to put me in that. Now the classes ain't fake. I'll tell you that much. The
You know
classes
what I'm
ain't fake.
saying?
Yeah, the classes ain't fake, bro. They African American study classes, but they ain't fake.
Okay. Word.
They're not fake.
They just not handing out them grades like they did over at Carolina. Okay. Word.
I I would have graduated cum laude if it was, bro. Nah, it was a struggle learning how to, because this is where the NCAA gets away with robbery, where they single student athletes. Bro, we all there to come to play our respective sport, right? I'm watching film 3-4 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? Then on top of that, go to practice. Then on top of that, I got to do schoolwork. Schoolwork is last in the eyes of the coaches. Right? If you get an A on the class, that's not gonna help the coach keep his job. Right? You know what I'm saying? He being on the honor roll ain't gonna benefit him.
Yeah.
He's judged on wins and losses.
Right.
So for you to tell me, well, you don't deserve to get paid, you getting a scholarship, bro. I got a whole nother spill on that, because scholarship ain't gonna guarantee you a job. And when we graduated in 2009 and the recession hit,
Woo.
motherfucker care about no Duke degree.
Yeah.
That won't put no money in my pocket. They
Yeah.
don't give me no job right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? So it was tough learning how to manage that. And it wasn't until my junior year I really kind of sat down and focused on not only my athletic responsibility, but my academic responsibility. Like,
Did you
Mhm.
go ahead?
Because I was just like doing enough just to stay eligible at the point.
Eligible?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I need a 3.4. All right, that's what I'm gonna get. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what you gotta have to stay eligible? A 3.4?
Yeah, like a 2.0. Like that. It's like 2.3.
3.4 is a big difference in 2.0. 3.4 is pretty
No,
high
I
to
said
stay.
2.4. 2.4.
Oh, okay. Word.
No. If that was the case, motherfucker wouldn't be there.
Yeah, I'm about to say
You
that's
be there right now.
crazy.
I'm gonna tell you that right now. You wouldn't be there. But it was tough. Right? It was like just trying to balance that was tough, man. And it was a lot of times, man, like I think my junior year, I felt so much pressure where I was drinking like Jack Daniels every day. Like just drinking. I was just like one, I wasn't happy with, so I'd been my red shirt sophomore year. Yeah, so they put me on O-line, bro. So I was devastated. I was like, bro, you sold me a dream and this ain't working out. And it wasn't until
Is at this point, did you get a new coach at this point? Is it
it
a
was
new
still
coaching staff?
it was still Coach Roof. Still Coach
Okay.
Roof. My first 3 years was Coach Roof.
And you played, so you played freshman year, red shirted your second year.
I redshirted my freshman year.
Red shirted freshman year. Okay, word.
My sophomore year, they put me on line. I was like, nah, this ain't gonna work, bro. Like, I'm thinking about leaving. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not fun to me. Then my third year, they moved me back to D-line. And I had a good camp. But I can also see, like, it's a lot of politics into it. Because I'll have a good practice, and we watching film, and the coach will say, good job, Rucker. But I remember Alfred, we call him Cheese. He'd be like, yeah, good shit, Ruck. Like, way to be out there in the backfield. Like, he would say things like I appreciate that. Right? Because I'm getting my all. But yeah, you earned me a determination that you ain't really with me at this point. And it wasn't until when Pat Bailey, great player, outside linebacker, defensive end, gets hurt. Then they moved me to the outside. And that's when my season just took a different turn. Well, I just really started balling that year. We ended up going maybe 2 games, 1 game. But individually, that was my best season. And then
That's your red shirt sophomore year?
Yeah. So by then I'm already 3 years in. And so Coach Cut then comes in my last 2 years.
Okay.
And I thank him. He helped me become the man I am today.
Word.
With the rules, obviously my grandfather was a staple, but he kind of took it to another level on how to be professional, how to work on your craft, and just how to if you don't know nothing, you don't let nobody else know that. and you say you can do the job, and you figure out how to do the job the best way you can. You know, for example, he gave a story where he never did, special teams. But they said, who can do, punt return or, coach that? He said, I can do that. So I never did that day in my life, but he studied, worked on it, and became good at it. Those kind of things. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, like you just true, true idiom, fake it till you make it. Right? Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know about this, but I'm gonna give him my all and I'm gonna be great at it. Obviously he coached Peyton Manning, Eli, took the
Eli,
right,
yeah.
went to the ACC championship game. He really changed the program around. Um, and he just helped me become just a better man. But from there, like I said, I think it's political. They want me to play back inside. I was like, yo, this like, I did it because now, like, where I'm gonna go? Like this, I was like, all right, I'm already here. I'm gonna stick with it. Just play these last 2 years out, and then
So hold up before so after that so you go through the red shirt experience, you go through the O-line experience, and then you get your opportunity, and you have a what you say is your best year,
mhm.
that red shirt sophomore year. Being a competitor that you are, the type of mindset you have, are you looking at the league at this point?
So,
Are you thinking you're gearing up for, a draft day at this point? Like tell me
so,
what's going through your
so
mind in that
after my
respect.
redshirt sophomore year, we were just looking on the computer. This one, like, we just look on the computer just seeing what the everyone's talking about. I think they had me projected like fifth or sixth round
Mm-hmm.
after that year. So I was like, damn, if I have another good year, maybe I might go up, man, I might stay.
You technically could leave at this point too, right? You
Yeah,
you
yeah,
technically can be eligible
right,
technically.
right. You could, but then it's like one, I'll be credit short, so I won't have no Duke degree to fall back on if I do,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
obviously, football is no guaranteed contracts, right?
mm-hmm,
So you leave and what? I don't got the funds to go back to Duke. I'm like, all right, let me finish my degree up.
mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like just taking off. Now they said, "Oh yeah, Kenny, you lottery pick." Yeah, oh man, I'll catch y'all later, then, bro. But
Right, right,
it wasn't that. You know what I mean?
right.
So going into my redshirt junior year, they moved me back inside. Had a decent season, made some plays here and there, but it wasn't as impactful as I would have liked it to been as the previous year.
Mm-hmm,
And then going into my senior year, freak accident, we're running drills, and I tear ligaments in my foot.
mm,
And so, that was extremely devastating. Right? They told me my career was over, couldn't play no
mm,
more.
mm,
Basically, the tendons tore off the big toe, so it was like 30-degree turf toe.
mm.
So I had to have surgery to repair it and so forth. And I worked so hard to get back. I was there for the first game of the season.
Wow.
And the injury and this recovery. So let me give you the timetable. Like that was in June. The first game is in August.
Mm-hmm,
You know what
mm-hmm,
I'm saying? They said they was projecting me to come back in November. And I was like, nah, hey, like you can tell me what you want to tell me, but I said I'm gonna come back early in the season. Now, granted, I
mm-hmm,
think it gonna be the first game of the season, but I was just different. Like mentally, I was always thinking about this foot tearing again. I was playing.
mm,
I was never the same player that I was before. Wasn't the same athlete. I just
mm,
felt like mentally having that kind of messed me up mentally as an athlete.
mm-hmm.
And I was just never the same. And I think
Did you feel like did you feel like it took some of like your gift away in terms of like your athleticism, the quickness and
yeah
stuff with the
because
feet?
one, I don't think I was quick as I was
Mm-hmm,
previous before the injury, but also I was always worried about it tearing, so I was kind of playing timid. You know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? So it was just I was never the same player after the injury, and you gotta love to prepare when you comes to football, because football is mostly just preparation. Whether it's in the NFL, it's more mental. You watch more film than you are on the practice field.
right.
House you're more on the practice field, but you're watching enough film to be prepared. And I had to do so much to get my foot ready to go practice. I kind of fell out of love with the game of football.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was like, man, and I knew once that season was over with, I was done.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
just knew I couldn't keep dealing with this, every day and trying to get it right, and all the things I did to try to get it warmed up and get it flexible just to go out there and practice for 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then all the stuff I had to do for game day and play for 3.5, 3 to 3.5 hours. I mean, it just wasn't. I early lost the love for the game my senior year, my last year for college football.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't stop me from my basketball when I graduated, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I kept doing that, but it was just like I was at a crossroads where when I graduated, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I had an idea of what I wanted, but I didn't know how to turn that into reality. Right?
So, and so while you're at Duke, I know you went on to study, was it law or pre-law, something like that, or?
Oh, I did. When you mention it, I ended up getting like a documentary certificate, certificate. So that was one of a lot of my courses I did. Because they pigeonholed me in my freshman year, I ended up majoring in African American science, but also getting a minor in public policy. And I kind of double minor and also theater. So I
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of things while I was there. Um, and during the season, in a week, study for the LSAT. But I just didn't know, I knew law was in my future, but at that point, I didn't know the steps to take to prepare for law school.
Mm-hmm.
And like getting to law school was a journey, right? When I graduated, we hit the recession, and applying for a job back in Durham. I left Durham. I moved to New York, and I applied for a job back at Extra and Extran, which was on 9th Street at the time. It was a small firm. Bob Extran and Samantha Extran both graduated from Duke Law School, and they gave me an opportunity to be a paralegal there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing that, but also trying to study for the LSAT. Couldn't do both. So
Mm-hmm.
as far as I was trying to obtain to get into the law schools that I wanted, it just wasn't hitting. So I
Mm-hmm.
almost like kind of gave up on law. I was like usually I'm good at standardized tests, but this is a little more difficult than I thought it would be. And maybe I'm not dedicating enough time to it because I'm working full time. And when you get off work, you just be just tired. So I really
Mm-hmm.
kind of gave up on the law track, but really didn't know where I was going to go after that. You know what I mean? And so I left Durham um, in 2012, and right, I probably did the worst job. I can't take it back. One of the worst jobs you ever do. I was doing direct sales, bro, in New York City. So you ever heard of it's crazy. You ever heard of insurance wireless? Like
Uh-uh.
if you got food stamps, Obama's giving out free phones.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bro, I was going from Brooklyn to Queens, signing people up, bro.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sitting on, bro, I got a Duke degree, and I'm out here in front of food stamp office, signing
Yeah.
people's phones. Not saying that I'm better than them or not, but I went to school
It's
for
a moment of reckoning. Yeah.
bro. So I left that job after doing maybe like a year and a half.
Then you did it for a year and a half?
A year and a half, bro.
Wow.
Because at that
Yo,
time,
what's the biggest takeaway from that job? Because like just in sales in general is gonna humble you. You gonna
bro,
learn about yourself.
bro,
But what you're doing and the market in which you're doing it, like I know you had to learn some valuable lessons.
man, one thing I took from that was how to open up,
Mm.
right? Because it's like talking to a total stranger, coming out like where they don't got nothing to do. It's like trying to holler at a girl that you trying to talk to, and she's like, "Nah, I gotta go." You got to say something to get her attention. Bro, I was speaking Spanish, don't know no Spanish. I'm in there like telefono gratis, and they turn their head, and I'm like, "Yo, boom, boom, boom." Like I was just getting the pitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it just told me that like I was just like, really taught me how to grind, bro. Because
Yeah.
at this point, if I wasn't doing that, I ain't had no money in my pocket.
Yeah.
Around that time, I was doing like 150 phones a day,
Ooh.
and I was getting paid weekly, so I was getting a check for like $600-700 a week,
Mm-hmm.
tax free. I was, you know what I mean. So when that was coming out, so I'm like, all right, this is something better than nothing. But when it was time, I was like, because what really happened was we oversaturated the market.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, all right, I live at this address, but I'm apartment B, and I put that in. They said I can't do it. I said, who your neighbor? All right, I'm putting their name down. Right? I said, I'm going to apartment C then. Like, I gotta get this money.
Yeah,
Like, we're
yeah,
gonna do what
yeah,
we
yeah.
can.
Somebody
We're gonna
getting
get
this
this money.
phone.
Bro, what I'm gonna get this phone, bro. I just lost mine. Can you help me? Yeah. What's your address? You cool with so? Yeah, let's go there. Let's go put that in the house right there. Like, I was trying to get the money, bro. And so I left that job and it was crazy. I started doing UPS. I was inside, I was loading
Mm.
stuff. After one day of loading, they moved me to supervisor. It was crazy. I was like, after one day, maybe
Killed it on the first day. This
right.
the best first day ever.
You know what I'm saying? And I was doing that. And the money was good. I was getting paid every week, supervisor, boom, boom. And then I was like, I need something more for myself. So I ended up
Mm-hmm.
taking the GMAT.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting in business school. I ended up going to what's called Holt International Business School, where it's stationary in Boston, but you can go to Dubai, you can go to these other states where they have schools and you learn with different people.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I did that, but it wasn't my passion. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot how to manage people, how to manage personalities, and so forth from that. But it was it wasn't what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I graduated from business school, I was fin to take this job back in Boston. And if you got people who watch a podcast from Boston, I hate Boston. Boston is the worst, one of the worst cities in America, bro.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
One, one is too compartmentalized, right? Like I stayed in Cambridge, but you got the city of Boston. Then if you want to see people that look like us, you got to go up to like Jamaica Plains and Roxbury. You got to go to the hoods. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just too far away. It's like it was too much. I was like, bro, this is trash. And it's cold, bro. I was there when they
Mm-hmm.
had two blizzards back to back. I said,
Mm.
"Yo, this is the worst city I've ever been in my life, dog." And I ain't saying that because I'm a Yankees fan. I hate, I hate Boston. I just said this city is just horrible, man.
Dang.
I just hated it. I hated
Dang.
it
So you wasn't feeling Boston at all.
at all, man. And then, but I was going to take a job back in Boston. It was called Hilti. I was going to be like a sales rep, and I think it was offering me around like 95
Mm-hmm.
off. And I just remember my mom, because she couldn't get to all my games when I was in high school. She kept all my paper clippings from the newspaper. And there was an article about, me, my plans at the Duke, and what I wanted to do. And during that time, I'm telling my niece, who's now going to go into high school, excuse me, college next year, you gotta, focus on your dreams, whatever you want to do, you gotta put your all into it and, kind of fulfill your dreams. And here's this article saying I'm going to law school and I'm gonna do this and this. And I said, well, I ain't doing what I said I was gonna do. So how
Mm-hmm.
can I tell her to follow her dreams and I'm not doing it myself? And so I talked to my mom and the person I was with at the time. I said, listen, I would not be able to live myself if I didn't give going to law school one more shot. So I didn't take the job in Boston. I stayed with my mom for 6 months, and I was bouncing at a local bar who was owned by actually a Duke graduate. It's called Brother Jimmy's Barbecue. I think it's shut down now
Mm-hmm.
in the city, but I was bouncing there at night. And during the day, I was just studying for the LSAT. Ended up killing the LSAT, and I said, all right, apply to the schools where like I can get in. I felt like I can get in for sure. Then I applied for something that was like, all right, it might be a challenge. So I ended up getting to UIC in Chicago here in Chicago where I'm at now and going to law school. So that was 2016. And but just that journey of failure and afraid to take the test again for failing again almost, stopped me from pursuing my dreams of being a lawyer and doing what I wanted to set out, And if you don't mind, like I want to kind of go back to my time at Extern and Extern. So I think this is important and it's been on my heart, when I knew I was going to do this podcast. When we were going to college, is a guy named Teron Chavis from Oxford. I got the case when it was already adjudicated. He was convicted. He's our age. He's accused of, rape and kidnapping, all these things. But it's a crime that I know he didn't commit. And we did the post conviction, stuff for his case. And we in Extern, one of the first cases that, or one of the first law firms, I think in Durham, were doing skin cell DNA. And based on the story,
real quick, skin cell DNA, like just a quick layman's term of what that means.
Basically, whatever you touch, you lay on, your dead skin cells fall off your body, and it's going to be on your sheets or whatever, right? And so the way the crime happened, the way it's told is that she got on top of him. He was naked on the bed. So it was like, well, if y'all been on the bed for 15, 20 minutes, his DNA should be there. So we did the skin cell DNA, not a match to this person, to Teron Chavis. So I'm thinking, that's a win for us. But if you know anything about the SBI in North Carolina, they were doing a lot of crooked stuff back then. And he gave blood, and I think they took his blood and put it in a glove, which they say it was found 4 or 5 days after the crime happened. Right now, the police didn't find his glove. The police dogs didn't find his glove. The owner's dog that were in the kennel that was 200 yards away from the house ran to the street and found the glove. I was like, bro, this makes sense. And when I checked the weather, it rained in between the times of the crime happened. So the dog chamber is cleared from any sense. So how the dog is going to come out of the kennel and just run to this glove? And what makes it worse is that when they did the test of the glove, North Carolina destroyed the glove. So there's no way to test it. You're supposed to preserve that glove for its entirety. So now we don't know if his DNA was really in that glove or not. And so here's this kid, we 36 years old. He's been in prison for 18 years for a crime that I know he didn't commit.
To this day.
To this day, he's still in there. And that's a case that, and I'll get into my career, a little bit later, but that case right there made me realize why I don't want to do criminal law. Because even though we are sort of the ones who are getting picked on in the criminal system, in the legal system in general, as Black men, it really doesn't depend on your race. It depends on your economic status.
Yeah.
If you don't have the financial means to make it and to pay for lawyers or pay for this, you're gonna get swallowed by the system. And when you got a public defender who got 800 cases, they don't know who the hell you are. You just another means to win for them to get a case out the courtroom. And that case still wears on me today. And every other month I check it. Right now is with the Innocence Project of North Carolina. And I just check it every couple months to see if anything has changed. But he's someone that I know should be free. When I met him,
what's his name again, please?
Teron Chavis. And out of Oxford, North Carolina. If you know anything about Oxford, North Carolina, it's a small town right at the border of North Carolina before you get to Virginia. And it's one of the racist cities racist towns. I mean, it's probably a lot in North Carolina, but it's one I know for sure that is there, and I just felt like this person should be free.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the state of North Carolina took so much from this young man that and it's crazy because I freeze him in time. Obviously, I know he's not a young man no more. We getting old, but I still see him as the 18-year-old kid or 20-year-old kid that I went to prison to go visit him and talk to him. And, people can put on fronts all you want, but that person right there that I met, he's not that what they say he is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things where his mom couldn't afford an attorney, public defender, didn't have the money, for experts or anything, and the system just swallowed him.
Yeah.
And if he was, and one thing I can say, because I've seen his track sheet, if you don't go in a criminal in prison, you learn how to become one to survive.
Right.
And that kind of screws with you when you get out of prison.
You get institutionalized.
Because you now you're becoming a criminal. You think like a criminal. Now you're trying to get back into society and live a normal life.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that, man.
Getting institutionalized is a real thing when you are behind those walls, man. And like the idea of the criminal system, it's funny you say that too, because I never wanted to be a lawyer, and but one thing that really just turned me off, aside from just having to experience the system through my own growing up and mishaps, I sat on a jury and I wasn't even 21 yet, so it's like first time getting jury duty, showing up to this joint, and I get selected to sit on the jury, and what turned me off so much was, even if you don't agree with, if you like, the law will say one thing,
right?
And if you don't agree with the law, it doesn't really matter because the law is the law. Right. And so it's like, even if somebody might have an excuse or a reason, was provoked, situation was simple in that the gentleman had a restraining order to not go to this place where his baby mama was, but the baby mama, being vengeful, was calling him saying, the baby needs some medicine, you need to bring it over here immediately. Like, I need you to go get it and bring it over. And then he shows up with the medicine and all of a sudden ends up beating the shit out of somebody with a stick. And so it's like, so the whole the whole event, he shouldn't have been there, restraining order. I learned what assault with a deadly weapon was technically under the law too, versus, self-defense. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, okay, so I'm starting to learn all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm young, dude. I'm not even 21, and I'm in this room with maybe one other black person, all adults, and I'm trying to stand on, but I don't agree with this, and then slowly but surely I'm getting pressured and pushed to go with what the group is doing, even though I don't feel right about it. And I told myself, as a young man, after that experience, I don't think I ever want to be a part of this again as a juror, even though I understand the theory of it and why it's important. My experience in it was one where I was just completely turned off by the system overall, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, the law is not black and white. It's very gray. And within that gray matter, as attorneys, you try to paint a picture that fits your narrative, right?
Right.
Or you try to find, the law, what it says, and you try to find acts in which what the person did to accomplish your goal of finding this person guilty. That's what the prosecution does. And sometimes I think it's BS because, honestly, I understand what kidnapping is, but when I think of kidnapping, it's like, I done got you, hog tie you, put you in the trunk.
Right.
But if I walk in your house, according to the law, if you can't move, you feel like you can't leave, now you can't.
Right.
So now I went in there, oh, he had a gun on him, so it's robbery, kidnapping.
Right. With
now
the deadly weapon.
Right. So now that's different charges. Kidnapping
Yeah.
for 15 years. Robbery with this cause, another 15. So now you're looking at 30 years. You know what I'm saying? And so
And
it's
an
just
armed robbery versus a non-armed robbery, like yeah,
right,
all these things matter according to the
right.
law.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And that case, along with others, kind of let me like, I don't want to do this kind of law. Right? Like
Mm.
I don't want to take this kind of stuff home with me every day.
Mm-hmm.
You have a family, you worry about, somebody's life is dependent on you getting this right when you know the system is against you.
Yeah.
That's tough in itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just from that aspect, I say, you know what? I ain't doing no criminal law. I ain't doing no civil law. I went into, real estate and estate planning.
But did you, when you were in law school and you were preparing for this journey to be a lawyer, you were thinking of that route of a defense attorney, a criminal attorney, or
No,
like a prosecutor, or like
so
what were you
because
thinking?
because of Tehran's case,
Mm-hmm.
that made me realize very early I didn't want to do criminal law.
So that was when you were doing the paralegal work.
Right. Right.
Right. Got it.
So I knew
Okay.
then I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I wanted to do transactional work at a very early age, not early, but very early on in my law career. I just wanted to do transactional work. I'm helping people, but also it's not contentious. It's not adversarial. Um, it's just people like if we here to make money, that's what it's about. And
Right.
if we arguing and fighting and we can't get this deal done, then nobody wins. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that more than arguing with somebody about, someone's innocence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't, I'm a person where if I get to know you, I'm gonna fight for you. And if I don't win the verdict, it's gonna bother me.
Right.
Uh, and because I think every attorney should get to know their client for who they are, what they're about. Whether you did it or not means nothing to me. I just try to look at the facts of the case, and try to defend you the best as I can. But when you try to get to know somebody, and trust me, you're going through a criminal trial, that's months of preparation. So I'm with this person nearly, half the time, like
Right.
2 months, trying to get to know them, who they're about. And if you see, like, nah, this person couldn't have done this, but sometimes the facts don't line up with what's being said in court, and they get kind of railroaded, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that I knew from that case, and nah, I don't want to do. I won't do no criminal law, man.
So how'd you get exposed to like real estate law specifically?
So my brother, after his last running with the law, he got into buying and flipping houses,
Mm.
and that's what kind of exposed me to the real estate. So I was like, man, this is pretty cool, and understanding the business side and then the law aspect, right? Like when you buy a house, all the things you got to do to make sure you buying a good piece of property. You do diligence.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
was fascinating to me as well, right? Because you see people who try to hide facts and try to hide material, you know,
Right.
material, defects in the property just to get
Right.
it sell, and then you buy it, and you're like, damn, this was here, and now you got a limit of a house that you got to repair, right? So, I think after my first year of law school, I got on with a firm here in it's Oak Park, Illinois, but it's right outside the city. And he did, real estate transactions, representing buyers and sellers, and then in estate planning. And once I got into
Mm.
with that, it was just like, this is what I love to do.
So just so I can get a clear picture, when we say represent buyers and sellers, are we talking about like, like if I close on a property and then it's time to go see the lawyer to sign all those papers where it's like the stack and they're going over this, going over that, and it's like
So,
everything to finalize the transaction. Are we talking about that? We talking about something different?
so yeah, but before you close, you retain me.
Mm-hmm.
So here in Illinois, it's called attorney inspection and review period.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I look at the contract, I kind of mark it up if something I don't like, and then you as a potential buyer, you go inspect the property. So if there's any things you want to change or have not change, but have the seller do, like I seen this defect, I seen a hole in the wall, you need to repair that. Or this term I need to it could be termite, so I need to do a termite inspection. I need you to
Hmm.
fix that. So I represent you from that point. And then when we close, yeah, I'm there at the table and I'm reading the loan documents to you, explaining to you the loan documents and everything that you're signing. And then we
Hmm.
close the deal, and then you get the keys, and then go into your house, and you know, and same thing with the seller, right? Like we got to get title. I got to make sure that you own the property. I got to make sure
Right.
there's no liens on the property. If there are,
Yo, the liens, like when there's a heirs property or something like that, where you
yeah,
got to go with all these multiple parties, and then
mhm,
you come find out it'd be like one little stipulation of the law, the person can't sell it because it's a random cousin who
right,
owns something. Yeah, it's like yo, that joint can get messy
yeah.
on the back end.
So
Yeah.
that's why when you have when your parents pass away or you inherit property, it's best to have just the property probated.
Mm.
Right?
What do we mean by that? Property
So
probated.
so there's two types of probate. Well, it's a lot of probates, but the most general ones are intestate and testate. Intestate means you don't have a will. The person died without a will. Testate means
Hmm.
they had a will. So when you have a will, obviously the court just abides by your wishes. Now, if you die without a will, you got to go through this whole like, all right, how many heirs, who's connected to this person, and then the court will
Right.
distribute their estate to you in equal shares. And then once you do that, you can put all the names on the deed, and each person, like if you want to sell it, like everybody want to sell it, get they cut, then everybody transfer their interests and rights from the property to the new buyer. Now, if you got one person that don't want to do it,
Right.
you know, either you can sell the property and you be tenants in common, so that you'll go through law process. But so there's certain type of tendencies that you have, right? So tenants in common, meaning that me and you own the property, but you can do stuff without informing me, right? So if you took out a loan on a mortgage on the property, you don't have to acknowledge me, right? Like you don't have to tell the kid I'm taking the mortgage. You can just do it. Then
Hmm.
you have joint tenancy, where it has survivorship, where you can't do nothing without me, right?
Hmm.
And if you die, your interests come to me.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then the last tendency is tendency by the entirety is when you're married. It's just you and your wife own the property. Y'all can't do nothing without each other. And when that person dies, then it goes to your spouse.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
but if that person didn't want to sell their interests, then if the buyer really wanted to buy it, then they would just be ownership. They have maybe 90%, and the other person had 10% of ownership in the property. It gets messy. It's like that's why I just tell people the best thing to do is just have it probated and just have
Hmm.
make sure everybody's on the same page as far as what they're getting, and they feel okay, because if one person said you got this much and they want that much, they're like, "Nah, I ain't selling them. You got to give me $20,000. You want to you want my interest." Like people,
Right.
and it gets really contentious. Like one thing that break up a family quicker than anything is money.
Yeah,
So,
man.
so somebody feel like I ain't getting the same fair deal as you, they gonna be spiteful. And I seen that so many times, since being a transactional lawyer in real estate.
Yeah, and a lot of what you're talking about, does that fall under the idea of estate planning? When we talk about estate planning, like is this a part of estate planning? What you're
Yeah,
talking about here?
yeah. So if you have assets, I always tell people, especially, it's like a stigma in the black community that we don't want to get a will because once we sign a will, our life is over, and
Hmm.
like nah, it's basically to set up your heirs to do your wishes, right?
Hmm.
And to do as you would want, as if you were living. And so many people in the black community die without a will, without this, without that. And I mean, I'm going through it right now with my grandfather. He
Mm.
died, no will, and I'm like, yo, y'all got to probate this. There's a simple way. Then it's for y'all. Y'all
And
can get
you the one in the family that actually like do this. Like, you
right.
know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And it sucks because I'm not licensed in North Carolina, so I can't go
Mm.
to a forum. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Which I'm trying to be licensed probably next year now. Then, but that's another story. But it's one of those things like you let somebody run the show, which is happening. My family, then you don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I think the best thing to do, if the person didn't have a will, let's find a probate attorney. Let's go to the court. Let's file what we need to file with the courts, and let's get his estate probated. Because right
Hmm.
now, when a person dies without a will, or even with a will, it's the state of if I died, the state of Kinney Rucker. You
Hmm.
can't sell that property until it's been probated, right? And so, but a lot of people in the black community don't get wills, don't think about getting trust. You know, trust is big. If you got assets, the trust is the best thing to do.
When you
Because
say assets, like are we talking a certain scale of assets, or if you just got
yeah,
what?
I mean, like having a car or something ain't really an asset, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying. But if you have a house, bank accounts that have substantial amount of money, um, I consider even though it's depreciable, but like a boat, anything like that that's worth value,
Hmm.
you should, you know, have a will or a trust. Now,
And
trust.
how would you? But let me interject real quick. Like you said, a lot of folks in the community don't have these things. I think in large part because one, access to information, don't know about it, just ignorant to it. And with that said, like if I wanted these things, where would I even start? Who am I reaching out to get this going?
Um, you find a probate attorney, estate planning attorney. Excuse me, not probate, but estate planning attorney. You just, easily to Google, estate planning attorney in North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure a lot of names will pop up. And I don't think, for transactional, we don't really charge for consultations, right? Like we try to pitch you like this is what we want, boom, boom, and the fee it might cost you around maybe $25, maybe $2,800 to do everything. That's probably like power of attorney of property, power of attorney of healthcare, your trust or will, um, anything that you want in that package. That's what it's probably going to cost you,
Hmm.
and that's not a lot of money. When you
Hmm.
think about having that peace of mind,
Hmm.
that's nothing in my
Hmm.
eyes. Um, and if you just want to I don't know what books to read, but you know, I ain't gonna tell you go to Google because sometimes Google have
Right.
wrong information about what you can and cannot do. But I think the best thing to do is consult with an attorney and tell them like this is the list of assets that I do have.
Hmm.
This is what I want to do, and they should be able to direct you in the right way to set up your estate planning.
Word. And you can work with attorneys to then move forward to get that stuff set up, or they kind of like send you on your own to say, go, here's
No,
what you need to do.
no, I mean, if you're going to retain them, then they're going to help you out because there's certain information that we need to even draft the documents, right? Like who's going to be the beneficiaries of your stuff, who's going to be the executor of your will, who's
Hmm.
going to be the successor executive if that person dies. There's a lot of contingencies in there that you got to have in place in case if person A doesn't dies, who's going to take over for them? To
Hmm.
make sure that your will is executed or your trust. And I would tell people to get a trust if you have like assets. They get a trust because the trust works as sort of like a person, right?
Hmm.
So you can put your name, so you can have the revocable trust of Kinney Rucker on a bank account, and it's going to operate like that. As long as you are the
Hmm.
executor of my trust, you have the ability to go in and withdraw funds and pay things on my behalf. You can put your house in the trust, right? And it's a lot of it's just so many things you can do with the trust that and when you die, it has who you want to be the successor and the beneficiary of your assets. I think not too many people like you said, it is a lack of ability to get the information, but I think people also need to want to seek the information also, right?
True.
Um, and some people do know about it and still reluctant to do it.
Hmm.
And then what it happens is when you pass away, obviously we don't know when our time will be called. When you do pass away, now your heirs are looking like, well, she told me I can get this, or he said I can get that. And now there's a huge fight. You know what I'm saying? Like over that you don't need to be fighting over. But I think
Right.
it's best that, especially if you have children, get things lined up for them, right? Like if you have young children, we used to do like what's called a children's trust inside
Mm.
of the main trust, and it will lay down like if we passed away, these are the people that's gonna take care of my children. And these are the bank accounts that's set up for them. And at the age of 18, they are allowed to get this much from this account. Like those things are set up so they are okay. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's all it is.
Hmm.
It's a tool to make sure your family legacy can live on the way you want it to live on. And yet we
Mm.
still, especially in the black community, we just don't do that.
Hmm.
We really don't. I mean, a lot of my clients that I deal with don't like me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They really don't. And and it's sad to say because we can be able to do this. You know what I'm saying? You save your money, you can buy a house. You know what I'm saying? Ownership is important in this country, right?
Yeah.
And I understand the market is different because right now, back during the COVID period, people are in these what I call the golden handcuffs, right? That 2%
Yeah.
interest rate. So where now there's not a lot of inventory being moved and not a lot of inventory being bought, right? So it's hard to get a house, so you renting a lot, and rent is it's crazy.
Yeah.
But if you get a good interest rate, man, go buy a house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get something that you can afford and get something that you can pass down to your family. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
I think that's very important.
No, I agree 1,000%. I agree 1,000%. And and like so working in that sort of profession, like you said, the journey to get to this point, it's like, did you like did you even think about the fact that you might be a lawyer or might want to be a lawyer when you were in high school? Like, was this even like a thought of yours at that
Yeah,
age?
yeah, so like I said in that news article, I had it laid out
That's
that
right.
I was going to go to Duke. I studied pre-law. Obviously, Duke is they are a yeah. I can't even think right now. Too much whiskey in the brain. Uh, it's like it's an art school,
Liberal
uh,
arts.
liberal art school. There we go. So it's
Yeah.
not. So it's not like when you go to other schools, you got designated majors. Like I'm gonna go and be sports science major or this and that. Nah, ain't no pre-law. So
Yeah.
what Duke does do it it prepares you for grad school. The way to
Hmm.
think, the way to operate, it does prepare you for that. So I think that's why you see so many doctors and lawyers that come from Duke or are successful that come from Duke because it prepares you for that. Just the way to think and the way to operate. But yeah, I've always thought of being an attorney. When I was younger, I thought I'd be a criminal attorney to kind of help the less unfortunate to be a voice for those who are voiceless. But I realized that the system is just so great. Not that you don't want to fight and take on it, but it's it's so rigged against the minority that it will wear at you, man.
Yo, I'm of the mindset that the system is quote unquote so great the way you just framed it, right? I truly believe that we make a mistake in trying to change what it is
Right,
because it is built so great and it works so well at what it does.
right.
The idea of changing it doesn't really serve the purpose of
It,
what it was built to do.
it,
You
doesn't.
feel what I'm saying?
It doesn't. I mean,
And
you look at different cases where you got to think like back in the '90s, they was cracking down on drugs, right? In the '80s and '90s, the war on drugs.
mhm.
You look at rest in peace. Demaryius Thomas. I played against him. He went to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Mama had to pardon his mother just because she had drugs in the car. They gave her like some outrageous 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not a violent drug offender. Drug offender. So it's hard to be successful. And I'm saying some people do criminal activity. I get it. But these same cops are not stopping you based on the way you look, especially in the white community, as they do in the black community.
Right.
You go to the hood, yeah, I guarantee you there's 95% chance the person you stop is going to have drugs on them.
Yeah.
They're going to have a weapon on them.
Something. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if you go to some of these communities, because I know these guys sold drugs at Duke.
Right.
You're not stopping them.
Right.
Right? So they get away scot-free until obviously, they run into the wrong people, then they get caught. But you're not stopping and frisking those people in those communities.
Right.
But yet, you come to our community and bro, you go stop somebody right now and in the hood, and you can probably have a weapon on him because he got to protect himself.
Something. Yeah.
Or he got drugs, he got some weed on him.
Got something.
And then you go, and then now they're in the system. Now it's hard for you to get a job. It's a vicious cycle, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to defeat that when it comes to stat game, right? We make up 12% of the population, but yet I don't know the number of how many in jail, but I know we lead the population in jail.
Disproportionate to say the least. Yeah.
So, like I said, man, it's hard to fight the system when it's rigged. You know what I mean? And it.
See, I think the way to fight it is by doing similar to what you're doing in learning what it is and then how to leverage it to your advantage as best you can, because if like you said, race and all that is always at play, but if you've got the resources to remove yourself from certain environments, to put yourself in certain rooms, you can change the trajectory a little bit. Now, let's say you're not going to face certain, potential ceilings or barriers that will present itself. But at the end of the day, when we're looking comparatively at everything, when you've got resources, you can afford the attorneys, which means you have a better chance of when something does go wrong, not having it stick. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so when we talk about doing it right, understanding something as small as estate planning, right? Like setting your family up, life insurance, little things like this, where we actually have access to these things, and there's really nothing stopping us from doing it other than just us not putting forth the effort or not having the information to do it. So, I like the idea of not necessarily trying to fight a rigged system, but learning how the rigged system works and then using it to your advantage so that you can try and do something within the system yourself.
I'll be honest with you, right? If, say, what Donald Trump did, he's like, oh, you evaded taxes, yeah, because y'all got these loopholes in there. The moment black people start doing loopholes, guess what? It's changing, bro.
No question.
It's changing. Right? That's what I'm saying. So, as a black community, it's hard to get ahead when other people are doing this and getting away with it. But then they change it. They change the poll of where you need to be to accomplish this, and they throw little things in there. Now you violate the law.
Mm-hmm.
And, last thing you want to do is start messing with the IRS and the taxes and all that. So it's just whatever you're trying to do to get ahead, and you see, the majority doing it, they're going to change it because it's no, you shouldn't be able to do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whatever they can to do to keep us down, they're going to try to keep us down. And I think that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
If you can get away with it for a little bit, cool. But then once they start saying, oh, are y'all doing this? Oh, nah.
Right, yeah, they're going to come.
Right,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate.
No, I agree. I agree. Let me ask you this before we get up out of here. Like, like you mentioned, you met your wife and you're a dad now.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, just being a dad, being a husband, how has each of those things before I even ask that, when did Kinney get the tooth fixed? That's my question. When did you
Yeah, the sky clean. It was
When did Kinney get that tooth fixed? I gotta ask that.
it was my senior year of high school.
But then it popped back out again. Then something happened where it popped.
Nah.
Okay. I don't know why I don't remember that. For some reason, I feel like even through school, but it's been that long, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, it's been that long.
Yeah, so I always had my teeth. Nah, I ain't say it popped out like when I had no tooth, but it was chipped. So,
Yeah.
Actually, doing AAU, I got knocked against the wall, and it got chipped worse. And so I ended up going back to New York that summer and just getting them fixed.
Word.
I was rocking tablets for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, Fab. Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, let's go and get it fixed. So yeah, that's how,
Word.
But yeah, it was my senior year of high school, going to our senior year.
Okay, word. Okay. So talk to me about being, because you said you had this wall up, but yet you met somebody and they find apparently whoever you met, that wall got broken down. So like what is it like being a husband, and then what is it like being a father for you? I'm curious to hear.
Being a husband is hard work, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard work. It's learning how to put yourself last when you've been a bachelor and everything about you is about me. It's about learning what's important to your partner on a daily basis. And because we have two different trains of thought, we get into it. Like we used to get into it daily, like over stupid stuff like how to mop the floor. Well, my granddad told me how to mop the floor like this. Now I'm out there like you just arguing over stupid stuff like that. Like it's
Yeah.
like, nah, like this don't make no sense. But it's
Yeah.
just learning how to put yourself last, and you know, like I said, my grandfather never showed me that affection. Like I love you. I don't think he ever told me he loved me. But what he did was show me how to be a man and provide for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, like I used to, as a bachelor, I used to go casino and gamble like I want to. Now,
Yeah.
I got to be in control of my finances, right? And also, man, like the most important thing for me is God is in the midst of our marriage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Three chords, strained together, it's not easily broken. So he's that third chord, and you know, he keeps us together. Because it's times she get like, I know I get on her nerves,
No
and
question.
sometimes question, and I know there's times I'm like, damn, no, like you just want to yell and scream, but it's like, no, like this is what we met each other. So when I moved to the Virgin, so I was practicing law in the Virgin Islands, and I moved there on a Sunday, and I met her the next day, and I was like, this is the person that I want to be with the rest of my life. It was something about her that she had this aura about her. I was like, nah, this person's special. And she's a God fearing woman. She prays for me. She prays for our marriage. When things going wrong, she's like, let's just pray. That means a lot to me. That you're going to cover me and I'll cover our family. To be a father, man, it was scary because now I got somebody that's depending on me
Yeah.
every single moment. I have a little girl, and she's just like, I can't see my life without her being there. And I tell my wife all the time, like, I avoided so long of not being a baby father, right? Just getting somebody pregnant and now you're trying to co-parent. I wanted somebody that I can spend every day with, and my daughter see what it means to be loved by a man, right? Because I'm the first man she gonna love. And I'm making it so difficult for the next dude to come that you got to really, set your A game up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you creating a monster.
I am. But she don't know her worth. You know what I'm saying? So we've done things that our parents, obviously we've been blessed financially to open up accounts for her that, things I wouldn't even think about, like, oh, what's the best high yield savings account? So we opened an account with SoFi that's earning like 4.8 interest, a year. Put her money
which is crazy for a savings account.
Right.
Yeah.
So just so about time and I'm gonna give it a spill, like, yo, you might see all this, but we poor. You gotta get a scholarship. What I'm saying? So maybe if she works hard to get a scholarship, those accounts can work for her when she graduates. Now she get her own house. She get her own car. She don't need nobody for nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that she can find the right man that's gonna treat her and love her the way that I am. You know what I'm saying? And she's feisty. She's talking. I got a video at 4 months, her first work was Apple. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this girl is really, obviously every parent party think that kid is brilliant, but I'm like, my little girl brilliant, but she makes me work even harder to make sure that she doesn't want for nothing. You know what I mean? I hope that we're blessed to have more, so she has siblings to go with, but it just, like I said, like, marriage is hard, and during the difficult times in the marriage, we've learned to say, all right, we can't fight in front of her because she don't need to see this. All right, what's the real issue? And sometimes the real issue be like, I want to put our business out there, but like when she was pregnant, so what I realized is, when a woman's pregnant, either she's gonna be on one end of the spectrum, right? She want to give it to you all the time. You ain't getting nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna keep it real with you. And it was like, nah, I don't feel like doing it. I'm like, yo, but that leads to frustration. that leads to frustration, bro.
No question. No question.
You know what I'm saying? And so it just, like I said, man, it's a work in progress. Right?
Yeah.
No marriage. One thing that Coach Cut always say, and I kind of keep it, this idiom with me, is that nothing ever stays the same. Either it gets better or it gets worse. So if you're not putting work into your marriage, it's gonna get worse. If you're not treating your wife the way she needs to be treated, it's gonna get worse. And guess what? She's gonna try to find it for somewhere else. Or vice versa. If your wife's not treating you the way you need to be treated, you're gonna start looking elsewhere for it. You know what I'm saying? And so, just trying to love your wife, love my wife the best I can. And her love language. If y'all don't read that book, if y'all don't do nothing else, read the love language book.
You like that love language joint?
Yeah, man. Because what we do as men, sometimes we love women in our love language, right?
Yeah.
So if you a person that love touch and all this, she might not want that all the time. She might just want information for you to tell her that she's beautiful, that she look good. All right, babe, you got it. Sometimes you gotta learn how to love in that language, and
vice versa too for the ladies. Listen, you gotta learn to love in his language too, though. You gotta do both.
Sometimes you don't want to give. Sometimes you want, something else. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Why you bring it up though? I gotta just say, just look and no, if you listening, like I know Hit Dogs holler, man. For the 5 languages, the most trash and toxic languages y'all give it, mother man. Y'all gift language are the trashiest love ever. That's all I gotta say. I know Hit Dogs is gonna holler, but the gift language, y'all are toxic and trash, and probably the reason why relationships don't work half the time, man. Y'all gift givers.
But also, I think, when you're meeting,
it doesn't matter how you feel.
Had to throw that in there.
It doesn't matter how you feel. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you really got to love the person for where they are in life, right? So, if your man ain't making 6 figures, don't expect 6-figure gifts, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be honest with it. Like, if you don't make 6 figures, don't expect them to pay all the bills. You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right. Be
You gotta-
realistic. Yeah.
but also, marriage is a teamwork responsibility, man. Like you, like I love my wife, but the only person I really want to take care of is my daughter because she needs me, right? If you left me today, you're gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to like,
Yeah.
pay everything, and then you got a nest egg of excess amount of money, and then you leave, and here I am with nothing.
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's wild, but like I said, I found the right woman for
You
me,
gotta find the right one for you. That is key. That is key.
and we met, and it was crazy because we both had. She's from Detroit, and but she was in North Carolina, so we had North Carolina ties. And that first date, we were talking about planning life together after one day
Mm.
of meeting each other. And I know we used to go to church, and people like, "Damn, how long y'all known each other?" Like, man, we just met. But it felt like
Word.
the chemistry was so real and so there. It's like I thought you guys known each other for like 5 to 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was a godsend. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Word.
I don't know if I could have done it living on the island alone. Right? It was
Yeah.
selfless. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
place like it's a beautiful place. The Virgin Islands is, but yet the the power goes off anytime it wants to.
Mm.
It's like a third
Mm-hmm.
world country, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nah, I can't. Without her, I don't know if I would have made it. The years I was there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, she's everything that I wanted, and it's crazy. I don't want to keep us too long, but before I met my wife, I prayed for a woman. They got to bring me a woman that was God fearing, that's someone that would love me for who I am, with all my flaws and all. And you know, like I said, I moved there on Sunday. The person that was driving me around, showing me the island, her and my wife went to another island for the day for lunch. She
Mm-hmm.
says, Kenny, you got to go find another ride because they ain't going to be back. So I did all that. So I was like, all right, that's might be an opportunity missed, not knowing I might miss the opportunity to meet my wife. She said, nah, Kenny, I'm back. Come on down. When I walk out the building for my job, my wife comes up and greets me, introduce herself, and then it was all she wrote, man. So yeah, so man, so it was just one of those things, man. Like I prayed for this, I prayed for a family, and God just blessed me. Uh, she's blessed me. He blessed me with a great wife and a beautiful beautiful daughter. Um, who's gonna probably run me crazy, but it's something that I asked for, and I'm just gonna enjoy every moment um, that I can. You know what I mean? So I definitely am blessed. Um, it's crazy because when we were coming from the Virgin Islands, another argument. I was like, man, like we should just rent.
Mm.
And I look at all the we got in this house, like my basement. If I tell you my basement, like is doing good. I'm at the bar in my basement. But if I showed you all the stuff we have, it's like, bro, ain't no way I was gonna move that twice in 1 year.
Yeah.
And so God knew like this is gonna be the house that we moved into. He blessed us with the down payment that we had to have. You know, it's just all around blessing, man. And you know, he's been good and faithful to us as we try to be to him. And the blessings just keep pouring in for me and my family. Um, but yeah, and just try to be a leader of the household. Like I said, I can't tell you your beliefs and what to believe, whether you believe in Allah, you believe in God, but I encourage every man to believe in something that's bigger than himself, to give him wisdom to how to be a husband, how to be a father, how to be a man, right? How to,
Mm-hmm.
not only, do it in your household, but just treat people right on a daily basis. I think that's a key. I think that's a very important key to life itself. And I think it's working with me.
I agree. I agree. And do it unconditionally, which
Right,
is the toughest part, right? Like
right,
without it being transactional, without doing it quid pro quo, something in return, just doing what you know is right regardless of how the other person even receives it half the time. It's just like doing the little things, the saying thank you, you know, holding the door, you're welcome, little small things.
I think this generation has got so transactional, bro. It's just like, it's crazy to me. And I couldn't imagine dating in this atmosphere at this moment, bro, where you gotta be X, Y, and Z for her. But yeah, sometimes she might not even have X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. He got this and that, but he want this and that one, but you ain't even living right. You don't got your stuff in order. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just, you know what I mean? And, you know, everybody got side chicks and side dudes and killing each other over something that ain't yours. Right? Like, yo, you with my girl. How's your girl when she with him? You know what I'm saying? Like, too much violence going on about the relationships, but I think everyone just needs to kind of figure out what's best for them and just kind of move in that lane. And like I said, I'm glad I don't have to worry about that no more. You know, and shout out to Jordan Davis. You know, we were texting, you know, because he's the father also, you know, the Durham great.
Yeah, shout out to Jordan.
So he said, you know, our black children need great black fathers. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? And I try to uphold that as best as I can. You know, I try to be the best father I can be, you know, to my daughter. I try to be the best husband I can be to my wife. And every day is not going to be perfect, you know, but in the process of trying to be great, you know, I think there's a win every day, right? Because you kind of learn something about yourself, you learn about your marriage, whether if your wife isn't happy. You know, my wife is the one to tell me, nah, I ain't feeling this today. And she'll let it out. Sometimes I don't feel like hearing it. You know, sometimes you be like, all right, what's the issue now? You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, you know, we had to talk. It's funny, like, you know, church yesterday, you know, my wife asked me, do you love me? And I looked at her, I was like, yeah, you know I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And the pastor said, it's like she was in the household. He said, sometimes they might ask you, do you love him? Do you love them? Saying, yes, of course I love you is not the answer. You got to show action. And that kind of made me believe, like, my wife asked me this. Am I not doing something to show that I love her?
Mm-hmm.
I got to step my game up. You know, and as marriage, you got to date. You still got to date. You still got to show that
No
you
question.
care. You know what I'm saying? Like, all those things matter. Like, you can't just think that you're married, everything's going to be all right. Because it's going to be worse. You got to keep doing the things you used to do to get that person. And vice versa. You got to date her. You got to do these things. She got to do the same for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm just learning a lot. Like I said, I've been married for almost 2 years. And not no expert, but I know in my marriage, the things that's been working. And one, loving her in a love language the best I can. You know what I mean? And that's big on her.
Man, that's dope to hear, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. One, when I reached out to you, it was in large part because in doing the podcast and talking to folks we grew up with, your name was popping up in repeating episodes of stories. I was like, yeah, I gotta talk to Kinney. And like, aside from that, man, like, as like a that I grew up with, and your ability to get from where we were to Duke,
right?
Like, dude, like, for nothing else, like, I don't know, like, but for nothing else, like, that's a big deal from where we come from. Like, that is a major move. And since then, I know some other folks have come up and actually played football at Duke who came from Durham, but like, I don't remember too many Duke recruits from Durham before you went there. I mean, I'm just being honest. I don't remember too many that came from Durham before you went there, man. And that was just, you know, even though things didn't say work out maybe in the way you had envisioned, it still worked out for you long term because you leveraged that. And then leveraging the network, like, I'm also hearing in the background, like, some of your pit stops after school, the common denominator was somebody was a graduate from or alumnus from the university, was able to keep them ties. So it's like, man, you really did your thing there, man. So it's like just nothing but love and respect, seeing what you've been able to get through. And I appreciate you just coming on board, talking to me, letting us catch up and sharing some of your stories, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a blast. Like I said, I'm very private, right? Like that's why I might post something about my daughter on a birthday, and I might go ghost for another year or two. It's just like I think it's important just to keep some things personal in a
Of
world of
course.
social media where everything is out there every single day. Like, bro, like some things we don't need to know about. And I just think the same thing as being a married man. Like you keep a lot of stuff in house because the moment you let somebody inside, the devil gets to working, man, and kind of destroys your marriage,
Yeah.
destroys your family. So I try to keep private, but I also with people that I'm close with, I always shoot a text like, "Yo, how you doing?" They know I'm alive, like, but you know what I'm saying. I just try to keep a lot of things private, keep a lot of things low key. Um, yeah, I'm just blessed, man. Like from a kid from New York, a kid from Durham, um, where we lost so many friends over the past
Yeah.
decade or so. I'm just blessed that God is continuing to show me favor, and it shows that I still got a lot of left to do, on this earth to make an impact. Um, as a father, as a black man, as a mentor, there's a lot of things I think I have left to give, and I'm trying to get ingrained more so in the Chicago community. Um, and as you know, Chicago is one of the most violent cities in the states, but um,
Has its reputation, let's say.
and just trying to reach out to the kids and show them that there's a different avenue than the game banging and then
Yeah.
to living that life that you know you're here for a reason. You don't have to keep repeating the cycle of the kids in your neighborhood or your father who's in jail or dead. Because my father wasn't there.
Hmm.
So I can't say you know because you don't got a father you can't make it. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was Coach Harrison, Coach Leathers, Coach Briggs, Coach Gardner, Coach Curry, Coach Sims. Those are men I leaned on, and I saw them as father figures, and I took something from each one of them to help me get along my journey. You know what I mean? All of
Hmm.
them are like fathers to me.
Hmm.
I think sports just played a role there. And,
I gotta shout them out, man. That's money right there,
Coach Gardner, um, me and Cal, us three was on the phone for like 2 or 3 hours a couple months ago, just catching up, and it's like Cal's like a brother to me. You know what I mean?
man.
It's like I've gained brotherhood from playing, sports. And obviously, my teammates from Duke, I still check on, you know, just seeing how they're doing. If you need anything, like I try to help out as much as I can, and be a source for those who have helped me. And I think it'd be a tragedy if I didn't kind of pay it forward because they did something for me to help me get to where I am. So I try to give it back as much as I can. So if we ever move back to Durham, I try to ingrain myself back in the community and try to help out there. Um, Durham is so near and dear to me. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's given so much to me. You know what I mean? And you know, I don't go back often, but I try. Like last time I was there was my grandfather's funeral, and
Hmm.
James Barbie JJ, his mom. I guess she watched the Fisher Memorial website, and she saw my grandfather's funeral up on the website. She gave her condolences, and it was just
Hmm.
the fact that she was a AAU mom that took me
Hmm.
for us, and Miss Faye was an amazing individual, is an amazing individual, and for her to reach out like that during that time, it felt good that there was people that were still there that they knew about the situation and reached out. So, but yeah, I thank you, have me on. Hope people enjoy it. Um, I'm if you need any advice on estate planning, holler at Gerald. He can reach out to me, and I'll reach out to you guys if you need more information on that. About real estate, I got you. Um, yeah, and just I try to help as much as I can. But I'm gratefully appreciated that you invited me on the show. It's been a blast for these over the last 2 hours.
Yeah, no, this is a good one, man. And like one, I think we're gonna have to follow up and do something specifically on estate planning in more detail. I think that'll be dope to really just have an episode locked in on estate planning.
Yeah.
I think that'd be something dope to do.
Yeah, not definitely. In church, my wife, she's a finance person, so we give, in the Virgin Islands, we just get a seminar where she teach you how to accumulate your wealth in the different, accounts and so forth. Then I come in and teach you how to keep it in your family. And
well, look, I've had married couples on the pod in the past, and we'll continue to have them on. So if y'all wanted to tag team it and kind of do something together, we would love to do that, like for sure. Because, like you said, this information is we got to make sure we at least spread the information, make sure that we give people access, and then from there, people got to do, people do what they want with it, but at least we do the things within our control to try and help the community as best we can, man. Really grateful you were on. We're about to close out. Any just last takeaways or anything you hope listeners take away listening? Any last thing you want to say to everybody?
Just say it's never too late to achieve your dreams. Obviously, I graduated law school 6 years ago. And for me, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that I was going to do something else in my life, after the previous failures. But, don't let failure destabilize you and hinder you from achieving your dreams. Failure is part of the process, and just can't be afraid to fail and just go after it. Because there's so much. I think if you're still here, you just have so much to give in life. Sometimes we get afraid of failure and we take the easy route. And I think sometimes you just really gotta fight through it, persevere, and it's such rewarding when you actually do. So, I don't want to call myself a success story, but I was able to become where I am now because of just the perseverance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I almost
it is a success. It is a success story, bro. Like you said, man. Like we're here. We're blessed to be doing what we do.
Right.
And given where we grew up, and like you said, man, a lot of us don't make it to this age. Right. And the fact that we're here and have opportunities, and we're trying to take advantage of those opportunities is that's a version of success, at least from where we come from, in my opinion. So I say you got to own that.
Yeah, trying to, man. But yeah, like I said, man, it's been a pleasure. I think it's about bath time for me to go get my daughter a bath. So it's been a pleasure, man, and I greatly appreciate it. If you want to do a follow up, just hit me up and let me know. And if anybody ever want to reach out to me, just let me know, and I'll be glad to help any way I can.
No doubt. This is the G Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and everything else. This is the G Podcast. Kenny, thank you so much for joining. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Subscribe wherever you like to enjoy your podcast. We on all platforms.